The latest in gaming news is all about anticipation. First, we made it a whopping 3 days since the last GTA 6 trailer 2 theory or a GTA 6 release theory, but we have a new one that lines up with the Take-Two earnings call, which is right around the corner, as not just gamers but even game companies, publishers, and developers are looking to that game to finally say something. Given how quiet so many of the studios are about the second half of 2025, I hope this one is real. I hope we get something very soon so that everybody can start talking again. We're going to look at the different theories in just a moment. Second, more and more outlets are corroborating claims about the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement. More than that, a steady stream of claims about third-party launch titles are starting to hit the airwaves. So, the Nintendo Switch 2 is here any moment. We'll take a look at what everybody is saying and what the release window could be, as well as apparently a lot of these games headed to that platform. Third, one Xbox insider claims that a big and long-standing Japanese franchise will be at the Xbox Developer Direct next week. So, obviously, everybody is weighing in, but many are forgetting one key element of the Developer Direct announcement. And we'll take a look at that. Fourth, and lastly, one LinkedIn profile seems to indicate that PlayStation Studios are taking an interest into one of their engines, and if it's true, I would imagine that many fans would celebrate it. And as always, I have a game for your wish list and your radar, and they just debuted their trailer yesterday. So, if you're here in the live environment right now, do me a favor and smash that like button. It helps this video find more people. If you like this content and you watch it on a very regular basis, consider supporting the channel directly. This channel is here because of supporters and members and people who gift. So, if you hit the join button, be sure to pick Member Plus. That gets you into sort of the second half of my channel. We end every day in the green room with the Member Plus and above members. So, let's talk about this situation with GTA 6. Right now, there are theories that continue to buzz about the GTA 6 trailer 2, as well as the release date. Now, I will say, my own theory is that they will drop the trailer a week or two before the Take-Two earnings call, or immediately after the earnings call, maybe even the same day. Now, a new theory seems to think it will literally happen on the day of the earnings call. One keen-eyed observer noticed a clue in the license plate in the main key art. You've seen this key art floating around. It's where they're both sitting on the car. It's on the thumbnail right now. You can't see the car though. And on the actual license plate, it has the letter and number F6. So people are like, hey, February the 6th. That conveniently is the exact same date as the earnings call. Now, given how starving all of the GTA 6 fans are, this one certainly got theories spinning. However, the Instagram shenanigans have stopped. Their current post count stalled out at 11. We thought maybe they were doing a bit of a countdown or something because it went from 14 to 13, 12, all the way down to 11, and then it just stopped. Now, my thought here, the current theory is, I think this is pretty doubtful that they did this. It seems incredibly unlikely that the marketing department at Rockstar knew the date of the 2025 earnings call all the way back in 2023 when they were getting all these assets ready, when they were getting the trailer ready. You have to remember, this trailer hit at the end of 2023. So, in the middle or near the end of 2023, the marketing department at Rockstar was putting together all of the key art and the trailers. It seems incredibly unlikely that all the way back then somebody from Take-Two said, oh yeah, by the way, plant a seed in the image. We're going to do an earnings call on February the 6th, and we'll have the trailer hit that date, okay? It's a fun coincidence, all right? It certainly is fun to discuss when the GTA 6 trailer 2 will show up. We did a waiting room back in December. It was a lot of fun. I'm not putting a lot of weight behind this. I do think if we don't get a trailer prior to that earnings call day, we will probably all be sitting around waiting for them to say something about the delay, the release date, the release window, or publishing a trailer. To me, it would make more sense to drop the trailer, however, before the earnings call, like a week or two before, let it heat up and let it go. I would imagine that trailer will either give us a hard release date, or it could just reaffirm fall of 2025. Like at the very, very end of the trailer where it says 2025, the new trailer would simply say fall of 2025. I will say this, no matter what happens with the trailer, with GTA 6 release date and all of that, I do think that earnings call is going to give us at least some kind of confirmation on whether or not it's still on pace for fall or that it's been delayed. I do not think they would announce the release date on an earnings call, but one of those two things are going to happen. Take-Two is either going to say it's still on pace for the fall, we're still good to go, and the closer we get to the fall and the more they continue to affirm and assure shareholders that that date is happening, the less likely a delay would happen. You don't continue to, build that confidence in your shareholders if it's not going to happen. That could, end poorly for them. So that is when we'll know. I think at the very least, we will have to wait until February the 6th of this year to get any kind of confirmation on a delay or a release date for GTA 6. So we'll keep talking about it. We'll keep discussing it. And make sure, by the way, if you guys are here in the live show, don't skip those morning uploads. Morning Coffee had a ton of people in it, and then we went over to watch an upload about the first-party problem with PlayStation. It was an opinion piece that I put out there. Curious your thoughts on it. So be sure to go check that out. Leave a comment and a like. You might get featured in this live show. All right, next subject is about the Switch 2. Basically, anybody with a contact in the gaming industry has claimed that the Nintendo Switch 2 will be announced this week. Now, first, there was a leaker who had gotten some things right in the past that said the 17th, and now multiple sources are claiming that the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement will take place during a direct or something on the 16th, which is just 2 days from now. Now, there is disagreement about the release date. The initial leaker said that the release date would be in March. These sources are now agreeing and corroborating that they heard it would be releasing in May or June. We will certainly know any day now what that release date is. I highly doubt they would announce the Switch 2 in January without a release date. That would be rather strange. Now, we have also heard that some of those Xbox titles that are headed to PS5 and the Nintendo may be included in the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, but they're not the only ones. In addition to rumors about third-party titles like Red Dead Redemption 2 landing on the Switch 2, two other rumors hit the news feeds yesterday. First, somebody claimed that there are half a dozen Ubisoft games being brought to the Nintendo Switch 2, and second, a rumor that Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is also headed to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, yesterday we heard that the Final Fantasy VII Remake was headed there, and that would be this year. And then next year in 2026, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth would. Now, the most surprising thing here is that these are games that can be somewhat demanding of performance. So I'm actually kind of anxious to see if the Switch 2 promotes itself on power, on text, on frames per second, or resolution. Now, another part of the rumors about this Nintendo Switch 2 announcement is that it will focus primarily on the device and not games. Like announcements and launch titles and stuff like that will be coming later. So there's conflict here with the rumors and the leaks. We've got people saying that, oh, yeah, you're going to hear about these Xbox titles going to Nintendo during the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement. And then you've got people saying, no, the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement's just going to be the device. I find that to be more believable. I think they'll primarily focus on the device, and they'll spend now and in between now and when it comes out doing other directs about the games and the launch titles, whether it's the Mario Kart that we heard about, a 3D Mario that we heard about, updates to titles like Breath of the Wild. Well, we'll know very soon, because when this many outlets and insiders are saying, hey, this announcement's coming on the 16th, it's probably coming on the 16th. Now, that's not the only thing that's coming. We have a leak about the Xbox Developer Direct. Jez Corden of Windows Central doesn't want to spoil what he's heard about the Developer Direct, which, again, I want to continue to say thank you to folks like Tom Henderson or Jez or Shinobi or Jason Schreier. Like, a lot of these guys know what is going to be at these events ahead of time if there's surprises and stuff, and they have taken to being quiet about that, and I really appreciate that. But he did say that if what he heard is correct, the surprise studio game will be exciting. He said, quote, "Our sources indicate that it is a new entry in a legendary Japanese IP which has decades of history and should make a lot of fans happy." Now, many people started theorizing about games like Final Fantasy and others. Now, remember, the Xbox Wire blog post about the Developer Direct said this was a brand new title, okay? I also doubt this will be any kind of an exclusive, okay? Jez even said himself on Twitter, it's going to be a multi-plat game, and that's not hard to predict. Xbox has seemingly moved away from a strategy of paying for exclusives. They don't seem to be wanting to do exclusives with their own titles. I don't think they're going to be, shy about putting third-party games into their presentations, because Claire Obscura Expedition 33 is a part of the Developer Direct, and it's also hitting Game Pass. So whatever game is a part of the Developer Direct, it likely is not an exclusive to Xbox, but it is maybe going to be hitting Game Pass. We'll have to cast your bets now on what you think the title is. Now, there's another thing you can cast your bets on, and that's who's going to start using the Decima Engine. For a while now, I have wanted to see more and more studios using the Decima Engine. It seems very agile and capable. A game that's as beautiful as Horizon Forbidden West, where John Linneman from Digital Foundry said playing on the PS5 Pro, this game's like playing a high-end PC game. But the Decima Engine also scales down to weaker hardware. We saw good reports about Death Stranding running on the Xbox Series S. There was also impressive results on a gaming laptop using Death Stranding and DLSS, hitting 4K and high frames per second on a pretty weak gaming system. Well, a LinkedIn profile seems to point to that being a thing within the PlayStation studios. A senior producer at Guerrilla has a bullet point on her profile, and apparently, for the last 10 months, one of the things she's been doing is, quote, manage communication and relations with other Sony studios interested in or using the Decima Engine. Now, this seems to indicate that other PlayStation studios have taken an interest into using the Decima Engine. If that is the case, I fully celebrate and support that, and hopefully we see more and more games and game types leveraging this engine. Some people say, well, not engine is ever, is one size fits all. For games that look like this, for games that are, the Horizon Forbidden West style open world games, or sort of the stunning vistas and landscapes that we've seen in the Death Stranding 2 trailer, it was used for, I believe, one of the Until Dawn games. I actually think more and more companies should be considering this, maybe even over Unreal 5, as Unreal 5 has shown itself to be a little rough around the edges still. So we'll see what this turns into, and if in fact we start to see more first-party studios over there at PlayStation pivot away from their own engine or pivot away from Unreal. Now, I do have a game for your wish list and your radar, and this one they debuted yesterday, published by Bandai Namco, The Blood of Dawnwalker. The Blood of Dawnwalker is from a studio made up from folks who worked on The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk, and they are working on what they call a AAA IP story-driven RPG saga for PCs and next-gen consoles. It is going to be in Unreal 5, and I want to scroll down here and just get the name of the developer. I can't remember the name of the developer now. Well, we'll have to just maybe wait and see if it's in the trailer. Rebel Wolves, got it. Rebel Wolves are the ones making this. Now, this cinematic trailer that you see here debuted yesterday. It actually looks very promising. The writing is excellent. The cinematics, obviously, and the characters are phenomenal. They show like the teeniest bit of gameplay at the end. It looks more like simulated in-engine gameplay. It doesn't look like genuine gameplay. And there is a promise of more gameplay this year. They also were not ready to commit to a release date, so this is likely a 2026 release. I think this is definitely worth paying attention to, putting on your wish list and your radar. Folks that touch titles like Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk certainly have, you can see some of the artistic vision here being visceral, violent, a little foreboding, and medieval. And so I'm anxious to see what this ends up playing like. A lot of people say, we've had enough of maybe medieval or vampires, but a good action-adventure game with this type of combat and even maybe magic, I think could be quite enjoyable. So make sure and pay attention to this one, wish list it, add it to your radar. Blood of Dawnwalker debuted yesterday. So just a little bit of a recap. We didn't make it long before GTA 6 Trailer 2 theories started cropping up, as well as GTA 6 release date theories in relation to the Take-Two earnings call and the letters and numbers F6 on the license plate of the car in the picture. We keep looking at pictures and all sorts of things. Second, more outlets than ever are corroborating that a Nintendo Switch 2 announcement is imminent within the next 2 days. Everyone's saying it's landing on the 16th, but that will just focus on the device and not games. And one Xbox insider is claiming that a long-standing Japanese franchise will be landing on the Xbox Developer Direct presentation next week. And a LinkedIn profile seems to point that more PlayStation studios are interested in using the Decima Engine. So that's the news. And now it's time for the discussion. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning, and thank you for 100 likes on the video this morning. Guys, make sure you have your notification bell set to all. Make sure you guys have that notification bell set to all. We had a video hit just this morning, and I want to look at some of the comments already. This one is called PlayStation has a first-party studio problem, or a first-party problem. And Leo Mera says, I have a PC and a Pro. I'll buy first-party on PS5 and probably everything else on PC. I'm trying to make my way through Horizon Zero Dawn right now. 36 hours in, I'm not done. Trying to finish the Horizon Forbidden West before Kingdom Come 2 releases. I think Horizon Forbidden West is definitely worth it. D the Great says, this is why Sony needs to have platformer games like Astro a la the early 2000s for those in-between games with the super big titles are being made. They also have to create cushion for PlayStation fans questioning first-party games. I think the second-party games like Death Stranding 2 are there for that. I do. The fact that Herman Hulst views Death Stranding 2 as quote-unquote one of their games, I thought was very interesting. Let me go ahead and thank some people who are already doing memberships, and they're working on that weekly goal. Let's take a peek here. Han shot first, and so did you. Joker Quinn with the first gifted member of the day rounds us out nicely to 70. We are behind on the weekly goal. You want to have about 100 a day, and that counts from renewals, gifteds, as well as brand new members. If you decide to become a brand new member, just make sure you pick Member Plus. Mike on the mic with 34 months says, good morning, Lono, Creature, and chat, and that gets us to 71. Thank you guys so much for continuing to renew. You can also add to the count by way of super chats. Vampire was a great game. Normally, I'd agree. It's an overused genre, but of its own to Earth, I can see it being good. I would if it's down to Earth, I see. I would want it to be a bit more than just down to Earth. I would want it to be a little bit more magical and mystical instead of just like you're running around with like medieval weapons. Yo, M Lippy. Is that an upgrade to Member Plus or a renewal? Upgrades count as 2 in the total. So let me know if that is if that's an upgrade or a renewal. And the Cold Slither left a comment on the upload and said, if I recall, I think Naughty Dog has cut out crunch and is respecting the work-life balance of its developers, so these guys aren't living at the studio. If that's a company-wide thing, then games are going to take longer to develop, and with no real competition, they may not feel the need to push and let them cook. That's exactly right. I think that's going to be a continued trend out of PlayStation Studios. They're just going to take their time. They're not going to feel the need to push out cadence. Chris Davies left a comment and said, this is the big difference between Xbox and PlayStation. Xbox are releasing 4+ first-party games per year when PlayStation are releasing 1 to 2. I'm not saying first-party is everything, but having more does help with Game Pass. The first 4 years, Xbox never did this. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. Xbox never has done that for the last 4 years. They have not once delivered 4+ first-party games per year. They've never done that. They had a year where they released literally nothing. No first-party titles. There's literally an email from Phil Spencer about it being like a crisis situation. So that's just simply untrue. The cadence of games has been far better from PlayStation. That's not even in debate. And the only way to change that count and claim that they've done better is you count games that actually were not exclusive when they came out, like Deathloop or Ghostwire Tokyo. A lot of those first-party tallies are ridiculously misleading, dishonest, and misrepresentative of what has happened. They did last year. No, they did not. They did Hellblade and Indiana Jones. Those are their big first-party releases last year. Stalker 2 is not first-party. And if you count Stalker 2, then you have to count all the exclusives that PlayStation got, and then you lose the race again. Like, you got to choose what you're going to decide counts and what doesn't count. If you count Stalker 2, then you have to count literally all of the exclusives that PlayStation had last year, because Stalker 2 is an exclusive. It's not a first-party studio. They have not released 4+. You said 4+ first-party games per year. That is simply untrue. Being able to count games that came out as a PlayStation exclusive is ridiculous, like Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. Those were timed PlayStation exclusives. Oh, Flight Sim. Sorry, Flight Sim. I always forget about Flight Sim. Flight Sim was a bit of a disaster. They quite literally have not been doing that. That is not true. And last year, you're counting the PC games as well, well, then what you're saying makes virtually no sense. You're saying that's the big difference between Xbox and PlayStation. But you're talking about PC games, what, like Aura History Untold or whatever that one game was? Like, again, that does nothing for me. Like, releasing games on PC instead of the Xbox, or counting games like Stalker 2, like, if you're going to count Stalker 2 or you're going to count PC games, I'm looking at exclusivity. And I got way more exclusives last year on PlayStation than I did on Xbox. It's not even a competition. I got better exclusives as well, by the way. At least that's my opinion. You can have a different opinion. But Stellar Blade and Ronin, and then a lot of people enjoyed Grand Blue Fantasy Relink and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That's 4 really, really strong exclusives that were all pretty close in proximity. And then you get to Astrobot, and to me, I'm like, I think that's a perfectly fine year. If anything, it's a stronger year. Hellblade was 30 FPS, so I had to play it on PC. Indiana Jones was good, even though it wasn't my cup of tea. That's a good game, solid game, going to get award nominations, deserved. Stalker 2 ran like garbage on my Series X. It had so many performance issues. Even if I would have been into the game and liked it and vibed with it, it ran very poorly. So in Flight Sim was an absolute disaster at launch. Like, people couldn't even play. For days they couldn't play because it's interwoven with online. Yeah, I left out Helldivers 2. Yeah, I left out Helldivers 2. Like, you want to count the PC games? I mean, you go right ahead. I don't think that is at all compelling if you're comparing Xbox and PlayStation and you want to count PC only releases. That sounds like you should be saying PC is better. That would make more sense to me. Not like, well, Xbox is better. Well, no, it sounds like you're saying PC is better. There are plenty of people to do that. I think there are a lot of consumers that are going to start doing that. They're just going to go to PC. They'll get the Xbox games. They'll get some of those Xbox published games that hit PC first, like Towerborn, for example. You could play it in early access on PC first. And that was supposed to be a 2024 Game Pass game for consoles. And it wasn't. Oh, am I muted in Discord? Oh, I unmuted for morning coffee and forgot to unmute for the show. Sorry. So yeah, and again, your claim is not true. I'm always curious why people say things like this that are false. Saying that Xbox has been doing 4+ first-party games per year, that's literally a lie. That's not true. There is an email from Phil Spencer about how they had nothing in 2022. They had an entire year where they didn't do anything. And then they spent much of last year just sort of like, it was just Hellblade for the longest time. And then at the very end, you get Stalker 2 and Indiana Jones back to back, and Stalker 2 is not first party, and Flight Sim. So to me, Flight Sim, Age, Hellblade 2, Indiana Jones, that's 4. I'm not counting exclusives. So last year was the first year they did it. You said something untrue, though. I don't get why you guys always have to lie to support or act like Xbox is better. If it's better, then it should speak for itself without needing to lie. I said last year and this year? No, you didn't. You said Xbox are releasing 4+ first-party games per year. There's your statement in black and white. 4+, by the way. That means more than 4 per year. They finally did it last year. You're including PC games to get there. Again, I find your argumentation to not just be lacking and uncompelling, it's dishonest and doesn't represent what happened. Comment from Lone Wolf says, I'm a little disappointed with their first-party cadence recently. Hopefully you're right, and there is at least one surprise. Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. Let's act like you're correct. I would much rather take PlayStation's cadence if the games come out at quality. Who really cares that you got Flight Sim last year? It was a disastrous launch. I mean, a disastrous launch. Hellblade 2 launched at 30. So who cares? Stalker 2 launched and was not at quality on console. Who cares? I would rather get 2 games a year that are polished and well built. I would much rather get that. I'm not lying, I mistyped. What were the 4+ first-party games last year from Xbox? What were they? In 2023. I keep forgetting we're in 2025. In 2023, what was their 4+ first-party games? List them for me, please. And let's analyze what you got. And let's really consider. Seriously, if you're going to try to compel me that an increase in first-party cadence is better, then do it. Compel me. Show me what you got. What did you get in 2023? You're saying they've been doing 4+ first-party games per year. You must be really, really happy. That's anywhere between 8 and 10 games over the last 2 years. What are those 8 to 10 games that you've received in 2023 and 2024 that you feel are so much better than what PlayStation's been doing? You're allowed to think it. Just tell me what they are. I fully respect people having different opinions, different perspectives. Tell me what those games are. According to you, the last 2 years, they've done 4+. That means anywhere between 8 and 10 first-party Xbox games came out in the last 2 years. What are those games? What are they? Mr. Grimm gifts a member and bumps the member line to 72. And if you guys are tuning in looking for GTA 6 news or GTA 6 release date or trailer news, the new theory is that you're going to get a GTA 6 trailer to the date of the Take-Two earnings call, because there's an F6 on the license plate of the car, and February 6th is when the earnings call takes place. That's the new theory that just hit like yesterday. Helldivers did 4 games last year. I'm sorry, Sony did 4 games last year. Helldivers, Concord, Astro, and Horizon. Output's not always the key to a good year. The reason Sony keeps selling is because they bring more than first party. Indiana Jones. I'm asking Chris Davies to list the 8 to 10 games that he's alleging came out from Xbox the last 2 years. He's saying that in 2023 and in 2024, Xbox brought 4+ first-party games. What are the games? Let's analyze how good they were. Let's do it. Come on. I want to know what makes you think they're so great. I really am curious, because I'm not saying PlayStation doing Yote and Death Stranding 2 this year, I'm not saying that I'm satisfied with that. However, if it allows Bend or Insomniac or Naughty Dog to take more time and deliver a game at quality, I would always much rather get a game at quality and have to wait than get it early and not have it be at quality. Yo, Tycho gifts a member, little single gifted train, getting us really close to 75. We're a little behind on the member train. I'm sorry, on the member goal for the week. So if you have a renewal, check that. Check the little sign at the bottom. You might have a renewal up. How much time does Sony Bend need? I think Sony Bend could be one of the surprises this year. I think it's been enough time. We just don't know when development started, because they rejected a sequel to Days Gone. We know that they did that. If you guys are tuning in for GTA 6 news, right now we know that the Take-Two earnings call is on February the 6th. The key art with them sitting on the car is what people are using to theorize that we will be getting a trailer, the GTA 6 2 trailer. A lot of people are now using this image to theorize that we're getting trailer 2 during the earnings call. If you zoom in down here, the license plate has an F6 on it. I don't find that to be very compelling. I highly doubt when they made that image almost 2 years ago, they knew the date of the Take-Two earnings call this year. And Joker Quinn, with a gifted member, gets us to 74. A little single gifted train. Chris Davies, it shouldn't be hard. You still haven't listed the games. This is why I always fact check you guys. Oh, here we go. 2024 was Indiana Jones, Hellblade, you counting COD? Flight Sim, Age of Mythology, again, going off the top of my head. Okay, so in your estimation, you're okay with Hellblade 2's launch at 30 on console. You're okay with Flight Sim's abysmal launch, and you're counting Call of Duty, which is a multi-plat. So I don't know why you would count that one. So what'd you get in 2023? We know that you feel like they had a good year last year. Okay, that's fine. I don't agree at all. Hellblade shipped at 30. Flight Sim's launch was a freaking disaster. And Age of Mythology and Call of Duty? Come on. What about 2023? You did 2023 as well? All right, let me check your log. I don't see Okay, Starfield, Forza, Hi-Fi Rush, and Redfall, going off the top of my head. Yeah, and I'm glad you did. Redfall was an absolute joke. Forza was not ready for launch and had been delayed, was missing features and needed a copious amounts of patches to get out the door. So I'll give you Hi-Fi Rush. Starfield was, all intents and purposes and all things considered, a failure from the consumer's perspective. It has a terrible score everywhere from the consumer. So here's the deal. If you think that's good, or if you think that's good enough, you and I have different standards. We have different standards. If you think and you want to brag and you want to say, Xbox is doing a better job, I got 4 games in 2023, and 3 of those games, 3 out of the 4, are Redfall, Starfield, and Forza Motorsport. We have different standards. You're accepting games launching broken, buggy, 30 FPS, and incomplete. Starfield launched at 30. Forza Motorsport was literally missing features. So if that to you is better, you got those 4 games, and you're like, yeah, that's good enough for me. We just have different standards. LOL Concord, by the way. Are you guys going to cling to Concord for forever? I said it was a bad idea, a risk, said it was going to flop, had no interest in it, played it for 15 minutes and said it was going to go nowhere, and it didn't go anywhere. Concord and Foam Stars are bigger bombs than Redfall. Foam Stars is not first party. Concord's been conceded. We've all conceded that game was a disaster, and who cares? Like, games come out and bomb. If you really want to measure the cadence and quality, you're going to cling to one game? What's interesting is you're going to use Concord as an example of, like, PlayStation failed, Concord's not playable, Redfall's still playable. So, okay, you're okay with getting a game 30 FPS at launch, buggy, broken, not ready, but you're like, it's still playable. You and I are incredibly different. You have standards that I think are in the toilet. I have standards that are like, here, it needs to ship at quality. And you're like, no, I'm fine getting garbage. That's the difference between you and me. You're okay getting literal garbage. And you're going to cling to Concord. Because if you actually look at the cadence of games and the difference, it's not even comparable. If you look at the cadence of games from PlayStation first-party studios and Xbox, one has consistently shipped games at quality, award-winning, award-nominated games, and the other is shipping games missing features at 30 FPS, broken and buggy, and you're like, well, I can still play it. Yeah? How many hours have you put into Redfall? How many hours? Who cares about Concord? Concord came out, was stupid, and the consumers were refunded their money. Has anybody been refunded for the Bite Back edition of Redfall that's not coming out? Redfall support ended, by the way. You want to, again, see, you guys have such low standards. You have such low standards. Concord ended, and people were refunded. Redfall failed, flopped, no longer supported, studio is gone, and nobody got their money back for Bite Back edition. But you think that's better? Lono acting like a woman that always brings up the past. You sound like your picture. You're laughing at Concord when if Microsoft respected you, they would have done the same thing for Redfall that Sony did to Concord. Did they finally refund Bite Back? Hang on, I've got some people to thank. Hang on a second here. Alex with the Member Plus bumps the line to 75, but then we're going all the way to 80 because 5 bomb from Rissick, and then Dean Bromley says, hello, this is a great channel for gaming news. Thank you. To me, it's insane to me. It's insane to me. Like, the revisionist history is unbelievable to me. To act like Redfall is some kind of a win for you because, like, you can still play it? Like, what? I'm genuinely curious. Like, if that's your standard, I don't know how you get there. I don't think everyone got their refund for the Bite Back edition. Acting like your profile picture. Love it. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. He needed that one, dude. You come here. You sound like a woman always bringing up the past. Okay. Thanks, Matt Bags, for a VIP renewal. Listen to me now. Listen. Why the revisionist history? Have the decency to admit that Redfall is bad. It was a bad game. It's not at quality. It's not a good game. Being like, oh, but I can still play it? Jiminy Christmas, man. Listen, this entire conversation started because Chris Davies said Xbox does a better job than PlayStation because we get 4+ first-party games a year. I asked for an example of when he felt that happen. Last year, he says, Hellblade 2, Call of Duty, Age of Mythology, and Indiana Jones and Flight Sim. Okay? If you think that lineup, let's just take Call of Duty out of the mix because that's a multi-plat game, so that doesn't count, okay? That doesn't count. All right, so you got your 4. There's your 4. That's what Phil Spencer wanted. That's what Phil Spencer wanted. Phil Spencer wanted 4 games at quality, okay? Shipping Hellblade 2 at 30 FPS on console, no, that's not equality. Flight Sim's launch was a disaster. I'm not going to comment on Age of Mythology. Fine, okay, we'll just count that one. Indiana Jones, that's your game last year. That's your crown jewel. At quality, well-reviewed, well-liked. You got Hi-Fi Rush doing the same thing in 2023. You have one shining star. One shining star. You have Hi-Fi Rush in 2023, and you have Indiana Jones last year. Everything else ships either below standards or not ready for launch. So I ask you, why is that better? Wouldn't you have rather waited for games to ship and be in better state, whether it's Forza Motorsport and all the problems it had, or, you know, maybe they could have gotten Hellblade 2 to 60. I don't know. Stalker's an exclusive, but even it didn't launch at quality, and I don't fault the devs there for some of that. I mean, they were in a very, very unique situation, and I think it was very difficult for them to get their game to market. So I'm just genuinely curious, like, why do you think that's better? I don't think I said Xbox are better. I said the main difference. This is a big difference between Xbox and PlayStation. Okay, so you say that. You say, I'm not saying first party is everything, but having more does help, plus all on Game Pass is great as well. You are 100% drawing a comparison and a contrast to say that one's better. You're saying this helps. This is a plus. You're elevating one over the other. You're allowed to do that, by the way. Just own it, Chris. I'm totally fine with you saying, I think Xbox is better. I don't get how anybody gets to that place given what you have received the last 2 years. I don't. Because it's the minute you count Stalker 2, the entire equation changes because now you're starting to count exclusives, which you're careful to not do that because you know the minute you count Stalker 2 as an exclusive, you got to count the 6 or 7 exclusives that PlayStation had last year. My video is about the first party problem for PlayStation. The first party helps doesn't equal better. You're being pedantic. Do you really think, let's read his statement in totality. So I'm not supposed to conclude that he's arguing one is better than the other. Let's just read this and not be so disingenuous and pedantic. He says, this is the big difference between Xbox and PlayStation. Big difference. He calls it a big difference. Xbox are releasing 4+ first-party games per year when PlayStation are releasing 1 to 2 first-party games max. I'm not saying first-party is everything, but having more does help. Plus, all on Game Pass is great as well. He's drawing a comparison and contrast and saying that one is better than the other. Name the Sony first-party games last year. It was Astro, Lego Horizon, and Concord. Helldivers 2 is it's their property. Helldivers 2 is like a hybrid. Helldivers IP is owned by PlayStation. They just don't own the studio. That one, to me, it's like, if you own the IP, what are we even talking about? I feel like that one should count. But if you're talking property, Doc, you have to include Helldivers 2. If you're talking studio, then you can't. Like, okay, so which matters most? I think owning the property matters the most. I think you have to count Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 and Concord kind of cancel each other out. One was explosively popular and made a ridiculous amount of money, and the other was an absolute disaster and flopped. Lego was multiplat technically. It was first-party property, first-party studio assisted, so that's first party. Like, I'm not saying it counts either because it didn't do very well. Like, if you're trying to act like who had a better lineup of games, it's so stinking close to a wash. It's like Hellblade 2, okay, okay. Indiana Jones is it's your crown jewel last year as an Xbox fan. It is, just like Hi-Fi Rush was the year that it came out. You can use Helldivers, that's fair. Yeah, if you can use Helldivers, then you can say PlayStation had a pretty good year, especially because a lot of us just ignored Concord. It's like, I don't care about that game. I don't have any interest in that game. Just like somebody on Xbox could be like, I don't care about Age of Mythology or Flight Sim, but they were happy with, Stalker 2 and Indiana Jones. I respond to your last question. Game Pass helps, as not all the games are great, but some are to me. And that's just where we're different. That's just where we're different. To me, I don't care about getting games on Game Pass and some are good and some are not. I want games to be at quality. This is where we're different. As a consumer, I don't care if you ship out, like, let's just say, for example, that PlayStation buys into this mantra and they ship Yote and Wolverine and Intergalactic next year, and then they use Death Stranding as like a fourth. That's like their fourth. And if Intergalactic and Wolverine are not at quality and they're not ready, or they ship at 30 FPS, I'd be saying the same dadgum thing, because my standards are that. I didn't play Plague Tale Requiem. I'm playing it now. Why? It's at 60. I didn't play Gotham Knights. Why? It was 30 FPS. Like, that's not a game that's shipping at the base level standard that I expect games to ship this gen. You've accepted games over there as, well, at least we got it. At least we got it. Who cares? That's like using Concord as an example. Like, I could say, well, at least we got a game. At least we got to play for a little bit. That would be asinine to say. Like, Concord was a disaster. You see how I'm readily willing to admit that Concord was a disaster and a flop? I don't try to act like it wasn't. People are acting like Redfall was actually good. What are you doing? Just admit that it was terrible. The devs themselves didn't even want to make it. It's not worthy of your defense and allegiance. It isn't. It isn't. It's a corpse. It's a literal corpse. They're not even supporting it anymore. The DLC, all the DLC stuff was canceled. Sneaky Wolf with a $5 super chat. I'll never understand why first party is so important to some people when exclusivity should be the talking point. And thank you for Satya for $2. PS5 has 777 games on Metacritic. Xbox has 439. Well, what is that, lifetime? Siriu with 8 months. Multiplats only count in Xbox's favor, apparently. Well, I mean, yeah. Listen. I don't care about keeping score. I'm trying to understand why you're okay with that. Starfield at 30 FPS is still a great game. And I know I killed it for the frames. I played Phantom Liberty and could never go back, Doc. I played a superior piece of... I touched and interacted with a superior product. Phantom Liberty, I'm telling you, buy Phantom Liberty, Doc, play Phantom Liberty, and then try to go back to Starfield, and I think you'll see what I mean. Redfall wasn't terrible. It was okay. Oh, good golly, Doc. They had to put stickers on the jewel case about 30 FPS. The game didn't even run right when it launched. What are you talking about? They launched something in like a technical test state. They charged money for a beta. That game was not ready for primetime, homie. Not even remotely. An absolute disaster of a game. That game is an embarrassment. There's nothing okay about it. When basics of the game don't function properly, come on, man. You gotta be willing to admit that thing was a disaster. They're not the same game though. Incredible Black, they attempt to do similar things. It would be like playing I'm trying to think of an example. It would be like playing, you've seen some of these games now, some of these rogues. It would be like playing Returnal and then going and trying to play some of these rogues that are inspired by it, but they're like indie titles and they're rough around the edges. Once you play the superior product, it's really hard to go to the other, even though they're different games. They still approach things in a similar way. The way you interact with NPCs, the way you interact with story elements and decisions. I definitely agree. Xbox disrespected the console gamer, but now on PC, Xbox does feel better. This guy, on PC, Xbox does feel better. So can people say the same thing about PlayStation, Doc, since the ports of the games have been immaculate, save like The Last of Us Part 1 that has since been fixed? I mean, you can say that, right, Doc? PlayStation feels better on PC. I'm helping you become a weirdo PC master race, Doc. I'm giving you the talking points. I'm giving you the talking points, bro. You can literally say, listen, everything's better over here. Xbox feels better on PC. PlayStation feels better on PC. You got your next video, Doc. Well, hang on though. I don't know about that Walmart PC though. We're gonna have to do some benchmarks against the Pro. We might have to do some benchmarks against the Pro, Doc. You might not be able to make that video. Game Pass is a blessing and a curse, as Street Shadow. It's a good marketing piece. You can move some users with it, but you miss out on so much money with those users. I had Game Pass on PC and dropped it. Guys, thanks so much for almost 200 likes already. We've been streaming for about 45 minutes. Make sure and smash the like button. This is a variety gaming discussion show. We talk about all the things going on in gaming. I put out a video about PlayStation's first-party problem. The cadence from their studios has seemingly slowed down. Even this year, Herman Holst seems to be counting Death Stranding 2 as one of their games. So it's that and Yote, and that's it. After last year, I think a lot of PlayStation fans are like, yo, where are the first-party studios? Where are the first-party games? We're also talking about the GTA 6 trailer 2. The new theory is it will land on February the 6th during the Take-Two or before the Take-Two earnings call. There's an F6 on the license plate of the car in the image, and people are saying that. Joker Quinn commented on my video about this. He says, I don't care who owns the studio as long as the games are of high quality. PlayStation had enough second-party exclusives to satisfy, and people who obsess about first and second party aren't gamers, just complainers. I am 100% on Joker Quinn's side on this. When I played games last year, do you know what I didn't have to do with any of the PlayStation exclusives? I didn't have to play them on my PC to get good performance. I didn't. I've had to do that now with 2 Xbox first-party releases, and if I really wanted to get the performance out of Stalker 2 that was playable, I would have played it on PC. That's 3, basically. I didn't have to do that with any of the exclusives on PlayStation. I just played Stellar Blade and had a great time. Ronin had some issues in the open world, some frame issues, but nothing egregious, nothing game-breaking. It was still 60 FPS most of the time. Helldivers 2, great performance. Had no issues there. Runs even better on the Pro now. Astrobot. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it had performance issues. I didn't play it. You can't fix that by going to PC anyway with the way, because it's an exclusive. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I didn't have any performance issues in that game. The last 3 games I played aren't available on Xbox, and they're not PlayStation first party, says Eugene. Concord Game of the Year. Here's what I'm curious about. We'll get to the end of this generation, and if Concord is the one big blemish that PlayStation has, you know why I celebrate that? Because it's quite literally the lesson that they needed to learn. If you're going to try new live service, they absolutely needed that fail and flop. That was good for them. Do you know what was good about Redfall? Hopefully Xbox learned that, like, don't task a single player studio to suddenly make some online, live service game. Right? Like, Redfall can serve a good purpose. Hopefully. Maybe. Sony respects their console gamers, says Dark. Agree. Except for the pro owners. They got bamboozled. I'm glad you didn't get one. I got 2. How do we get bamboozled? I played Space Marine 2 at performance levels not achievable on the base. Not even close on the Xbox. I have early access to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Doc. PS5 Pro is fabulous looking. Runs very smooth. You can't say the same for the other consoles. How did I get bamboozled? I'm getting the best performance in the newest games. That's what I was supposed to get from the Series X. I know that's a little salt in the wound. You and I are brothers in that. That's what the Series X was supposed to be. It was supposed to be the world's most powerful console. I've got it now, and it ain't a Series X. It's a Pro. I can play games like GT7. I can play Horizon Forbidden West and get what Digital Foundry described as high-end PC gaming. I didn't get bamboozled at all. I have the best console in the market. What do you mean? That's money well spent. I played co-op Space Marine 2 with my wife. It looked incredible. I didn't get that level of performance on my base PS5. I didn't. I had issues with frame rate. Lighting's better, image quality's better, frame rate's better. A handful of games had issues with PSSR. Doc, did you know that the developers of Black Ops 6 created proprietary tech with Sony for the Pro? That's how good the Pro is. The Pro's so good, Xbox developers are working with Sony and making proprietary tech for their games. So y'all want to celebrate Black Ops 6, go right ahead. Go right ahead. Celebrate Black Ops 6. Black Ops 6 has anti-lag VRR in it on the Pro, and that was designed in tandem between both the developers of Black Ops 6 and Sony. And that'll likely continue to happen. Because devs like power. They like new stuff. They like to do more. You literally have Xbox Studios prioritizing the PS5 Pro. Riddish with a $5 super chat says, prediction, the GTA 6 trailer 2 at Super Bowl with release month. Super Bowl? I don't know if they like doing things like that. They can put the trailer out on YouTube and Twitter and not spend a dime to the NFL. Big Juicer with a member plus renewal and bumps the line to 83. You guys are always gun shy to gift members on days like today. Don't be gun shy. Don't let the tribalists scare you off. He says, haven't had a single complaint about my Pro. Enjoy your Walmart Leapfrog PC. Oh, don't be mean to Doc. Not for $700. That's subjective to the consumer. I spent $700, which is $200 more than I spent on the Series X. And you know what's funny, Doc? In the time that I spent that money, I have played more games on my PS5 Pro in the months that I've had it versus the years that I've had the Series X. That's a win for me. Anti-lag VRR sounds made up. No, it was literally in the breakdown. Literally in the breakdown. They created proprietary tech for Black Ops 6 on the Pro alongside Sony. So, south of midnight at the Super Bowl makes more sense because of the location. I don't know if Xbox is going to want to spend that kind of marketing either. Guys, if you're just tuning in and you want to talk in my chat, hit subscribe. I'm a Safe for Work broadcaster. We're talking about all the variety in gaming news right now. GTA 6 was back in the headlines. People are theorizing. A lot of people thought the GTA 6 trailer 2 was landing today. They thought it was landing today, and I don't think it is. I think it's either going to land a week before the earnings call, which is on February the 6th, or it may land the day of the earnings call. The current theory is that February the 6th is when GTA 6 trailer 2 hits. Let's take some more comments on the video. Alex Gaming says, I guess Sony should buy half of the gaming industry like Microsoft and slap a PlayStation Studios logo on every game so fanboys on Twitter can brag about how much first-party games they have. Me personally, I'm playing games regardless of first-party or not. Preach. Preach. The Xbox logo being on Black Ops 6 didn't make it any better. You know what made Black Ops 6 better? The devs increasing fidelity and performance for the PS5 Pro. What benefits me? What? The logo on the box or the quality of the game? You want to brag about Black Ops 6 being in your tally or your total last year, you go right ahead. I can play a better version of it on the PS5 Pro than you can, unless you have a really, really beastly PC. So everybody on Series S, everybody on Series X, anybody on a mid-level PC and down, I can play a better version of that. I can play a better version of Black Ops 6. So sure, you slap the Xbox logo on Black Ops 6, who cares? The game is what matters. Black Ops 6 is a great game. I want to go back to the campaign. I wish I could just install the campaign. I want to go back to the campaign, but it's like I keep forgetting to install it overnight because it literally takes forever to install. Come back to PC. I don't think I'll ever come back to PC, Doc. I don't think I'll ever come back to PC. I'll upgrade my PC. You know. I played on PC, so you can't. Not being rude. What PC do you have? What performance do you have? Do you have the anti-lag VRR that they developed? Like, are you able to tap into that with your rig? Do you have the tech that can do that? I'm pretty sure you can just do the campaign. Can you just install the campaign? Is that possible? And Purple Haze with a 5-bomb bumps the line to 88. Good to see you, Purple. Thank you so much. She's been gifting members here, y'all. Say thank you. And guys, make sure and bump up to Member Plus. It counts as 2 when you upgrade and you get into the green room at the end of the day. I end every day in the green room with Member Plus and VIPs. So consider upgrading. It's only $1 to do that. NVIDIA Reflex will get similar results. Right. Does he have a rig that can do all that? Your typical Mexican on a VIP Plus. Is that a renewal or an upgrade? Let me know. It has the anti-lag option. Yeah, right. You have to have a rig that can do that, though. If you've got like an older rig and an older card, a lot of that new stuff you can't use. That's why I'm asking him. Do you have a rig that can match all the stuff the Pro is doing? Not every rig in the market can tap into that technology. If you have one, great. My point was not, do you have a rig? Do you have a rig? I'm saying, if you're one of the people on Series X or Series S, which they're the ones typically bragging about this, they're the console warriors, you're not getting the best performance. The PS5 Pro is. And then the people on really, really high-end rigs. I have a 4070 Super upgrading to 5070. Right, so you have an upper-level rig, Chris. So if you have an upper-level rig, I wasn't talking about you. Yeah, your rig's better than the Pro? Yeah, I wasn't talking about you. I made that very clear. If you're on like a mid-level rig and down, those weaker, older rigs, you can't tap into a lot of this great technology they're putting out there. You can't. Even if you can tap into the technology, you're not going to get the graphical output. You're not going to get the performance of the Pro. Mid-level rigs and down fall behind. You can clip me and put you in your content all day yelling about me. You know I'm right. The vast majority of people are on rigs that can't do it. The facts are the facts. Now, you want to invest in your rig and you spend high dollars, good for you. You're in the minority of consumers. I wasn't even talking about those guys. Like, if guys are on 40, 50 series cards, I'm not talking about them. The console warriors that are claiming that, like, Black Ops 6 is some champion, some win for Xbox. What are you talking about? You can get, they literally made the game run better on the Pro. You can cancel the online... Man, I have an eyelash again. It's just driving me freaking crazy. You can cancel the online downloads. It should download the campaign, zombies, and multiplayer separate. Okay. I'll have to look into it. Pokelena with a month of members says, that went quick. Thank you for the content. Would you be happy with PlayStation games coming to Xbox to make it fair for me? Oh, I like you, but I don't like you that much. No, I don't actually care if they go to Xbox. I've never seen the business angle, Pokey. I've never seen the business angle of it. It's not worth the money. They would spend all that money porting and getting it to go over there, and they wouldn't even make enough money to warrant it. Sadly, there's no business angle. They also would dilute their brand because part of their brand is big tentpole exclusives like God of War. Broken Earth with 2 months of VIP. I keep saying, but until I'm blue in the face, if consoles gave me mandatory mouse and keyboard mappings for all games, I'd buy a console for primary gaming. Happy to be there. Yo, thank you. And you guys just both with your renewals bumped the line to 90. We'll see if anybody takes the bait. A 10 bomb could bump us to the first 100 of the week. And then I'll owe you guys more. A $5 super chat from Purple Chat. Stop picking on Doc, she said. He's proud of his Kmart PC, and we're happy he's playing 10-year-old games. Get him, Purple. Kmart. You have got to be close to my age if you're calling out some Kmart, okay? That's old school. That's old school. The Kmart. Call out. The Cisco says, sometimes a pony has to gallop and sometimes a pony has to trot. It might be difficult to spot the difference if you're distracted by its beautiful mane. Shut up, Cisco. Remember, PlayStation canceled a lot of live service games. Perhaps those games were supposed to fill the gaps. That's a solid theory. I think that's a solid theory. I wouldn't, and that's a good thing. Right? That's a good thing. If you're gonna want PlayStation to improve their cadence and output, one of the things they got to do is not put out stuff like Concord. See, the difference here is people will come in here and shout at me and call me a pony, but I'm sitting here saying all of the things that you won't say about Xbox. I'll say PlayStation fumbled, failed, flopped, made a bad choice, did a dumb thing. I have no problem saying that, but then you'll come in here and say crap like, well, at least I could still play Redfall. What? And a 10 bomb from Siriu. There it is. The first 100 members of the week. We're back on pace. We got to end today at 200, and I owe you guys 5 members. If you guys just got a gifted membership from Siriu, be sure to say thank you in the chat. You can pay it forward and gift to somebody else, or the best thing to do would be to upgrade for $1 to Member Plus. It makes room for others, and it puts you into more content. If you cannot afford a membership, hopefully you get a gifted and can stay on it. You won't admit you were bamboozled? I don't have to admit I was bamboozled. That's subjective. I spent money and have got an enormous amount of value out of my PS5 Pro. The $500 I spent on the Series X, I got no return on that investment at all. I bought 2 PS5 Pros and have played way more games on it and gotten way more value out of it than anything I ever gave to Xbox this gen. Bamboozled subjective. See, I know it's difficult to see the difference. There's no subjectivity here. Concord flopped. It was a failure. Redfall was a failure. It was objectively broken, not ready for primetime, and at 30 FPS. Objective fact, Starfield launched at 30 FPS with glitches and bugs. Objective fact, Forza Motorsport launched with glitches, bugs, missing features, and has had to be patched a number of times to get it back to quality. Those are facts. It's not a fact that I got bamboozled. I spent money and got what I thought was worth it. You could spend $2,500 on a PC and somebody could think that you got bamboozled because you're playing games with pixel art and don't need 60 frames per second because they get 300 frames per second because they're weak, small little games. Somebody could say that you're bamboozled. Most of the games on Steam don't even require a high-end rig like that. But you might feel like you got your money's worth. That's subjective to the consumer. We can still play Redfall as bad as it was. The game's still up. Yeah, why aren't you playing it right now? Did you platinum it? Did you get all the stuff in it? No, you didn't. Redfall was trash. See what I'm saying? That's the difference between you and me. You'll celebrate still being able to play a game that's garbage and an insult to anybody's intelligence, like it shouldn't even have released, okay? Concord gave everybody their money back. They were like, this is so bad. See, that's the difference too. PlayStation actually has standards. They're like, this is so bad. This is so far below what we think is acceptable. We're shutting this down and giving everybody their money back. That to me is how you handle failure and a bad launch. Microsoft's completely different. They'll ship things like Redfall, Starfield, and Forza Motorsport when they're clearly not ready, and they'll just fix it later. And you just have to wait. Who's getting bamboozled? Who's getting bamboozled? Getting products not at quality that'll just get fixed later, so what, you stay on the subservice? Who? Who's getting bamboozled? Who's getting tricked? A game being garbage is subjective? No, it's objective. if a game comes out and doesn't run well, has glitches, has bugs, has features that doesn't work right, and they had to put a sticker on the jewel case saying it wouldn't be at 60 FPS. That is an objective fact that that game failed, that that game is in a terrible state. You liking Redfall? No. See, Scotsman, you're stepping out of qualitative assessment and into opinion about the product, right? I could give you a day-old cold burger and you think it tastes amazing because you're starving, but somebody who's had, you know, one of my homemade burgers that I make from scratch, and they'd be like, this tastes like crap. That's subjective. I could objectively say that burger is in a bad state. You shouldn't eat it. It's old. It's moldy, gross. It's not fit for consumption. That's an objective statement to be made. It's old, it's moldy, it's cold, it's not fresh. Those are objective observations. So if a game launches at 30 FPS and is buggy and glitchy and has functions that don't work right and AI and NPCs that don't work right, those are objective realities. Your subjective opinion about it doesn't concern me. Well, I didn't think it was that bad. Well, I thought it was okay. Well, I had fun. Don't care. I'm talking about objective assessment of the game. Forza Motorsport objectively launched missing features. It was broken. It had stuff that didn't work right. It got removed from competitive circuits because it was in such bad state. The litany of patches prove this. Like this weird thing of being like, well, I can get out from underneath any analysis of how poorly Xbox games launched. I can just get out from underneath of that and be like, well, that's just your opinion, bro. No, it's not. These are objective assessments of the games when they came out. It's objectively true that Concord failed and flopped and was a disaster. That's objectively true. Well, I had fun. Nobody cares if you had fun in Concord. It objectively failed and flopped. Do you see how liberating that is? I'm not beholden to PlayStation. I can call their PSN requirements stupid. I can call their handling of the Helldivers 2 login dumb and short-sighted and self-inflicted damage that wasn't necessary. I can be heavily critical of what they did to Concord. I've said to cancel Fair Games. I've said to cancel Marathon. Do you want to know why I can do that? Because I'm not like you. If you can't admit that Redfall was a disaster and that the cadence of games has not made up for the lack in quality, then we are not the same. Because I can be critical of any game that comes out, any decision any studio makes, anything that hits the market, I can be critical of it. Call it dumb, stupid, flop, bad, below quality, not at my standards. Why? Because I'm not like you. You want me to be like you because it makes it more easy to feel like, well, the reason he doesn't like Xbox is because he's a fanboy. Well, the reason he doesn't like this is because he's a fanboy. No, you're the fanboy. I don't have any problem admitting if a game flopped, failed, or was terrible. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care whose label's on the box. I wasn't like, well, you know, PlayStation published it, so I better act like Concord was good. No, it was terrible. I played it for 15 minutes, and I told my nephews, I said, this game's going nowhere. They were like, I don't know, it's kind of fun. I'm like, no, this game's going nowhere. It has no shot. No shot. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care who owns the game. It doesn't. PlayStation players admitted it was awful. PlayStation still gave the money back to the people that bought the game. Here's the thing. I uploaded a video today called The PlayStation First Party Problem. And essentially what I said was, you have got to either adjust your expectations or you're just going to be disappointed. Because I don't think PlayStation is going to change. I think you're getting 1 to 2 a year, if that. And they're counting Death Stranding as a first party, at least according to Herman Holst in an interview. You enjoyed Final Fantasy, didn't you? Would you say that was that quality? No, I've been heavily critical of Final Fantasy 16. I've been heavily critical of the interviews where Yoshi P said it was going to show off the power of the PS5, and I stopped playing it because the out-of-combat performance in the performance mode was terrible. So, yes. See that? Isn't it interesting how consistent you can be when you're not beholden to defend a platform or a company? It's real easy to be consistent. It's not hard. It's very easy. A $5 super chat from Siriu. We can't move past Xbox's failures because the fans still want to elevate garbage for fake debates. Yeah, it's like you could move on and have some semblance of respect if you could just admit that this entire conversation started because I'm like, if you listen, I'm talking to the PlayStation crowd, the pony crowd, right? The Sony ponies. You better get used to this. 1 to 2 a year has been Sony's cadence since the PS4. I think the year where they did Horizon, Gran Turismo 7, and God of War, I think that made everybody think we were going to get a lot more. And then Hiroki Totoki said, going into the next fiscal year, you're going to get multiple big single-player games. And I think people started thinking, oh, the cadence is going to pick up. I don't think so. Sony claiming Death Stranding 2 is first party is laughable. Herman Hulse didn't say first party, but when he answered a question about all of their games that are in development, he included Death Stranding 2. He did. Because in his mind, it's like, that's second party. It's like we're working directly with him. We published the first game. We sold the rights of Death Stranding back to Kojima. And in his mind, he's like, yeah, that's our game. He probably would say the same thing about Helldivers too. Like, they own the IP to Helldivers. They don't own the studio. You see what I'm saying? You're just going to have to get used to that. Do you want to know why you're going to have to get used to that? Because, number one, PlayStation doesn't operate on this hierarchy. They don't. PlayStation does not operate on this hierarchy of like, well, we need first party. We need 3 or 4 first party studio games a year. Nope, they never made that assurances, and I don't think they care about that. They don't. The point is, these consoles are being put out with terrible CPUs. That quality is going to continue to be a problem. No, that's just something Xbox guys say because you've continued to get abysmal performance out of your games, and that hasn't been a problem for any of the PlayStation first-party studios. Final Fantasy 16 is not a first-party game, and if it was, it wouldn't have run like that. Mark it. Write it down. They don't allow that. They have their games come out at quality. Cerny literally said they made a device where they knew devs could get 60 FPS, and they have. The first-party PlayStation studios have not struggled with this at all. That is such a false narrative that gets put forth by people who are either trying to cope with the fact that your Series X has become a 30 FPS machine for the most part, or it's turned into we have to wait for the 60 FPS patch, or games like Gotham Knights. Cerny said it in an interview. You can count on one hand the big games that launched at 30 and never updated to 60. There's almost no games that have done that. That's just a false narrative put forth by people who can't cope with the fact that one device is seemingly doing a much better job. I owe you guys 5 members, by the way, because we did hit the confetti goal on Super Chat. That puts us a 20 bomb away from 125. Let me do it. If you're okay, by the way, if you're just tuning in, this is what we do on this channel. We debate. It gets passionate. It gets fiery. You'll notice I'm not cursing and swearing. I'm not calling names. You're allowed to come here and share your opinion. Just don't insult me. Don't insult chat, and you'll have a fun time here. If you're looking for GTA 6 news, the GTA 6 trailer 2, the new theory is that it's landing on February the 6th, the same day as the Take-Two earnings call. I think that's unlikely because there's an F6 on the license plate in the GTA 6 key art. I don't think they knew the Take-Two earnings call release date, a year and a half ago. I don't think that the marketing team at Rockstar knew that. I do think, though, that the GTA 6 trailer 2, I do think it comes before or right around that earnings call. I think we're going to either learn that it's on pace for fall or that it's been delayed, one or the other. If you're enjoying the conversation and you're enjoying what we do here, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on the content, and then hit the like button. That helps more people find the video. So thank you so much, everybody who has been supporting the channel, and thank you so much, people that have been gifting members, getting involved, getting in the Discord. We end every day. In the green room, which is a behind-the-scenes thing reserved for Member Plus members and above. So thank you, everybody who partakes in that. And thank you, everybody who watched the video this morning and who continues to leave comments. I'm going to read some of the comments now from the video this morning about PlayStation's first-party, what I call as a problem. Essentially, PlayStation's playing from the lead position. and they don't feel any pressure to do this. Well, we just got to get games out. We just got to get games out. Something that I think a lot of the Xbox guys don't realize is the minute that Phil Spencer prioritized cadence and getting games on Game Pass, it has actually harmed the games that you're getting. I would much prefer wait for games so they ship at 60 and they don't have major glaring problems. I would much rather wait for a game. I would. Redfall could have been a good game. Now, the backstory there is not on Xbox. I've been consistent in that. That's on ZeniMax for having that studio make that game. I don't lay that at Xbox's feet. Xbox should have canceled it. There should have been internal assessments of that game and that studio, and they just should have canceled it and not shipped it. Yeah, Plague Tale Requiem is at 60. It looks wonderful. I'm halfway through. I'm at like chapter 10 out of 17. It is a gorgeous game. Very good looking game. To me, it's such a disappointment that game shipped at 30, because I remember playing it and thinking this is a great story, and I liked the first one, and I just couldn't get over it. The performance was terrible, especially with their fire and the rats and stuff. It was bad. Why wait for games to get patched? Just jailbreak it? That sentence is utter nonsense. You can't jailbreak and fix a game that's not at 60. What you're saying is nonsense. That doesn't even make any sense. What do you mean? You can jailbreak your PS5 and fix Final Fantasy 16's performance mode? Like, what are you talking about? Yo, what's good, African Jedi? Mile High left a comment on the video. There are more great games than I have time for. Exclusives matter more than first party. I'm currently more happy with my gaming options on the PS5. I agree. Same. Xbox don't have that problem. They have a quality problem, in my opinion. If you're going to give me two things, you can though? No, you can't. What you're saying is literal nonsense. You can't like jailbreak your PS5 and fix the performance mode in Final Fantasy 16. You're talking in delusion. You should just go start a podcast. That's fan fiction. You can't do that. Final Fantasy 16's issues are that they're using like an old FSR, an older version of FSR, and they don't give you dynamic resolution when you're not in combat. You can't fix that. That's not something that you can fix by jailbreaking your console. I don't even think you understand what that word means. Jailbreak means that you would just be able to, like, I guess, download pirated versions or something of that case. Bloodborne gets nearly 120 FPS jailbroken. You're using a word that you don't understand. Okay, so the jailbroken PlayStations that are able to get higher FPS in Bloodborne, you're not getting it in Bloodborne because Bloodborne has been jailbroken. You're jailbreaking the device so you can run a mod. So you would need a mod for FF16, which I don't know if that exists or not. What you're saying, again, is utter nonsense. 5 gifted members from African Jedi gets us to 110. Thank you so much, African Jedi. Anyways, if you give me a choice between the two roads, if you give me a choice between the green pill and the blue pill, all right, the Xbox pill and the blue pill, green pill, blue pill, and on the one side, I'm going to get games, or at least a commitment of getting games at quality once a quarter. And on the other side, I'm getting the commitment of the games will come out when they come out, and they will be at a high level of quality. I'm always going to choose the side where I have to wait. Always. Johnny Cage, thank you so much for subscribing and being here. Listen to me now. In the grand history of gaming, I've been creating content for a decade. I have never, and I mean never, seen a company who prizes the release date and getting a game out. I've never gotten good results for that. Not once. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is such a wonderful example of this. A wonderful example. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is a great game. It is. It is. And it launched in a terrible state. And it shouldn't have. Wasn't ready. Got pushed out before it was ready. Why? Because Disney thinks similarly to Microsoft. We want a new Star Wars game every 6 months. That is prizing cadence over quality. I do the opposite. I prize quality over cadence. I do. What's interesting is a lot of people are contradictory. They'll talk about how the Pro is a scam and you could invest in a PC and get much better performance. So what you're saying is the quality of the game and higher levels of performance, that's really important, right? Interesting. That means in the grand hierarchy of value, you just put PlayStation leagues above Xbox. Leagues. Do you understand what you've done? These guys that argue this, they don't hear themselves. You just argued that quality and performance is of such a high value that you'd be willing to go over here and spend more money to build a PC. Great, good. Your hierarchy of value is your own, but you just conceded that quality of a game and performance matter. They matter enough for you to spend more money. Ergo, you just elevated PlayStation leagues above Xbox. In the grand hierarchy, you have high-end rigs at the top, spending top dollar, early adopters, the best of everything. Beneath that, PS5 Pro. Beneath that, PS5. Beneath that, whatever's going on over there with the Series X and the S being tied together. A $400 4060 Ti beats the Pro. Yeah, and you can just jailbreak games to fix them. You are on an absolute just world tour of nonsense this morning. Yeah. So you just have to buy the graphics card. That's cool. I didn't know that. Did you guys know that? You can just buy a graphics card? I didn't know that. You just need a graphics card, guys. You don't need anything else. You don't need that pesky power supply or that case. You don't need any of that. You apparently just need a 4060 Ti. You just need a 1080 card for $400. And you can be the Pro. There it is. That's all you need. You don't need any other components. You just need a 1080 card. Just a 1080 card, boys. Please reply. What do you need, Dark Man? What do you need assistance with? Yeah, you can just buy it, sit it on the desk, and there you have it. That's all you need, bro. That's it. That's all you need. Yeah, the GPU has the RAM. It does. You don't need RAM. It just uses the GPU. Listen. I'm not the tech guy. All right. I make the PC Master Race guys mad anytime I talk about PC, right? One of these days, these guys are going to watch one of my videos. They're going to have an aneurysm on stream and die. And it's not going to be my fault, okay? They do not like when I start talking about PCs. They really don't. Because hit dogs bark. But I'm here to tell you, just buy a graphics card, apparently. You don't need anything else. Mayhem says, instead of buying more devs to deliver great exclusives to PlayStation, Sony has decided to just invest in outside studios and let them produce great exclusives. We might not like the strategy compared to Microsoft's, but at the end the result is the same. Great exclusives are available. Great point. I want you to think about something. PlayStation got an awful lot of bang for their buck last year because they spent a significant amount of less money than Microsoft, and they got way more exclusives. They got way more exclusives. So it's like, and they spent way less money. Whatever money they spent with Team Ninja for Ronin or Stellar Blade or for Helldivers 2, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, the amount of money they invested in those relationships and those games, that's pennies compared to what Microsoft spent. When I say you just need a GPU, I mean, you listed a 1080 GPU. You think that card can go toe to toe with a Pro? Okay. Great. Go and buy that rig then. Nobody's stopping you. You know what's interesting is, like, if I've ever been talking about the TV that I have that, like, you guys sent me, or my monitors, or my PC, what's interesting is nobody ever comes in the room and is like, can I see an itemized receipt for that? Because I bet you could have spent this and got more power over here. Oh, okay. Some of y'all act like the people at Costco. You know when you go to leave Costco and they like check your receipt? You know what I mean? Some of you guys are out here like, well, according to this, you spent $700 on a Pro, and you're getting this threshold of performance. What you could have done. Nobody asked you. Nobody asked you. Like, I'm not charging into chat rooms and streams about PCs and being like, well, what you could have done is you could have bought all of the consoles instead of buying that PC. What difference does it make? I mean, that's who asked. I'm not here telling you how you should spend your money. Did you know that you could have got a 4-bedroom house if you just spent a little bit more money? It's weird. It's just weird energy, man. It's weird energy. Like, who cares? Who asked you? What do you care what I spend my money on? Well, I'll buy 10. I'll buy 10 PS5 Pros, and I'll line my wall with them because I think they're good looking, and I think they make for great wall decorations. Who cares? Even Digital Foundry finally conceded the Pro is worth the money. They have to minimize it, Lona, because their preferred platform isn't doing it. Same way they're acting like the alleged handheld will be revolutionary. It's just a cope. I think a handheld from the Surface team could be killer, though. Yeah. I do. Now, on my video about the PlayStation first-party problem, Unicorn Tomboy says, we need more slightly smaller AA titles to fill out the PlayStation first-party portfolio. For example, a Medieval 2 remake made by the same people that developed Medieval 1. Yeah, I could go for more Kana-sized games. Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I think that's fair pushback that, like, they could start to maybe partner with smaller studios or AA studios to pad it out, for sure. If you guys are tuning in looking for the GTA 6 trailer 2 or news about the GTA 6 release date, the new theory is that we will be getting the GTA 6 trailer 2 on the date of the Take-Two earnings call. And so it's in the thumbnail, it's in the title. We talked about it. I gave a breakdown at the beginning about the theory, why I don't think the theory is that compelling. I do think we get a GTA 6 trailer 2 before or on the earnings call. I don't think they'll wait until after. And the earnings call is on February the 6th. If you've got questions, hit subscribe. We talk about more than just one thing, though. It's a variety gaming news show. If you hit subscribe, you can talk in my chat. If you have never supported a channel with a membership, you could try it out here for the first month. You get into extra segments like the green room at the end of the day. You get to kind of see how we plan the shows and the content. That is a $6 membership. It's $6, so make sure you pick Member Plus if you do decide to support the channel directly. 600 viewers and 300 likes. Press like. Yeah, Behemoth is saying let's get to 300 likes. What did we talk about with the GTA 6? Guys, he's jinxing it in real time. Hashtag evidence. You know, Purple, I'm getting a little tired of your lip coming in here, spreading this slander. All right? We're going to have a conversation. TJ Triz says, I'm happy with no first-party announcement or release because they rarely miss. In fact, I can't think of a first-party miss. Their games take time to cook, and it's worth the wait. I agree. I'm always going to want cadence over I'm always going to want quality prized over cadence. Behemoth gets the second super chat on the super chat goal. Says press like. Hi, Lono and chat. Thank you, Behemoth. And guys, always check the $sign at the bottom of the chat. You may have a membership renewal. That you can celebrate. And Gaza left a comment, says, good evening, Lono. How are you today? Also, do you think with everything happening, it'll affect Rockstar Games? I haven't heard anything. I've not heard anything if the fires are affecting any of the studios out there. Raphael says, in my opinion, I think there are so many third-party games coming out this year, they're not worried about releasing this year. It's almost like they want to play engagement on games releasing this year, but overall, I'm not worried. 2025 is so stuffed. That is another factor. That's another factor. When you have the lion's share of the next-gen console sales, it's like you're not going to try to flood the market with your own stuff when you've got all these big games coming out. I also think we need to consider GTA 6. If there's a GTA 6 delay, it wouldn't surprise me at all if all of a sudden we see a bunch of surprises in the fourth quarter. But if the GTA 6 release date hits in the fall, it's going to bump stuff. Stuff's going to probably get bumped to next year. I mean, there quite literally could be, and not just PlayStation. PlayStation could have one surprise game that they're kind of holding off on. And they're like, I don't know. And they're kind of waiting. But there could be other studios and publishers and developers out there that are just waiting. They're like, well, we could land in the fourth quarter, but we need to know what in the world GTA 6 is doing. The first half of 2025 is stuffed. Yeah, and we don't know beyond that. There are games right now. We don't know when Ghost of Yotei is releasing. We don't know when GTA 6 is releasing. We don't know when Death Stranding 2 is releasing. Some of the bigger games, Mafia: The Old Country just says summer of 2025. Borderlands 4, no release date for Borderlands 4. Some of the bigger games, we don't even have release dates for. And it's already, the year already feels like it's overstuffed. When every big game releases on your console, you can be strategic with your own releases. This is exactly why I started my video. If you guys haven't checked out my video called PlayStation: The First Party Problem, please check it out. Go watch it. Give it a like. Leave a comment. You might get featured in this video from leaving a comment. Basically, I'm like, you better be careful what you wish for. You better be careful what you wish for. All these guys that wanted PlayStation to crush it and to win and to stomp on the competition, they won, and now they're playing from the lead position. If this was a tighter console race, it wouldn't surprise me at all if PlayStation would be working harder to be like, hey, you can only play Yotei here, or Venom, or Wolverine, or whatever it is they've got coming. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they would be pushing for tighter timelines, because they'd be like, we've got to get people on our platform. But it's not a tight race. And because it's not a tight race, it's like, well, you guys that wanted them to win the console war, I mean, like I said, be careful what you wish for. They handedly won, and now you've got a situation where they can just kind of take their time, rest on their laurels. The doctor's office with 24 months says, hope everything is going well. Always love seeing the console war argument in the chat. Get some laughs. Keep up the good work. Have a great day. Thank you, doctor's office, for 2 years. And I cannot count your renewals in the count if you guys are not on Member Plus. If you're paying $5 a month, bump up to the 6 so that I can count you every month. And when you upgrade, I get to count you as 2. Wild Mustang says, thank you for the one that gifted me. Well, you're welcome, and thanks for being here. Are we doing any news for Returnal Ratchet & Clank follow-ups? It's been a while. Housemarque is working on a new game, not a Returnal sequel. Ratchet & Clank will likely not see another game for a very long time. Insomniac's timeline is maybe Venom if it's real, then Wolverine, Spider-Man 3, maybe an X-Men game. I don't know if you're going to see a Ratchet & Clank for a while. Sony controlling the marketing is wild. Do you think Valve will step up like a sleeping giant? What would Valve step up and do, like with the alleged Steam console that they're talking about making? I don't know. As far as that's concerned, I would love it. I would absolutely love a Steam box for my living room, as long as it gets good performance. There are so many little games that I would love to play out there. Warden's Will just came out. I don't want to play in here. Early access of Hyperlight Breaker comes out today, And a VIP from Siege Master. It's coming. I knew it. He bumps the line to 111. Hang on. I owe you guys. Some of those guys I asked if it was an upgrade or a renewal, and I never counted them. I was waiting on a response. Who was it? It was your typical Mexican. Let me check on the back end and see if that was just a renewal or if he upgraded. Because if it's just a renewal, it counts. If it's an upgrade, it counts. Boo 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 boo. Here we go. Total time on level 0 days. Total time as a member 6 months. Your typical Mexican, was that an upgrade? Anytime it's an upgrade, I count it as 2. You got to let me know. I don't think the casuals are gravitating to Valve. Bolton Gaming says, I desperately need a Returnal sequel. I'm eternally sad that Housemarque isn't following it up. I think it's a perfectly complete work of art, Bolton. I love Returnal and don't want a sequel, if I'm honest. And a 5-bomb comes in from Siege Master and gets us to 116. Listen, we're behind on pace, so I'll go back to 5 every 25, all right? Let's get this. Let's get this today. Let's get that to 200. We haven't had any of the big boys come in and drop bombs, and we don't need them. We can do this without the 20 and 50 bombs. SteamOS and exclusive ETC players in the market are desperate for a Sony competitor now. Do you think they are? Artemis, do you think like the average consumer is going to the market and saying, man, I wish Sony had a competitor? Like, think about it. Track with me. If the PlayStation 5 becomes the de facto like high-end console, like you go to Walmart or Target or whatever, and people are like posting pictures of like, oh, look at all the PlayStation 5s and Pros on the shelf. Haha, nobody wants them. And Denver Miller signs up brand new with a Member Plus, and that counts as 2. We're trying to get as many Member Pluses as we can, and we'll do a big celebration when we do. Thank you, Denver. I appreciate that very, very much. I don't think people are coming into the market and saying, yeah, man, we really need a competitor for PlayStation. Do you see what the consumer's going to do? The consumer's going to be like, of course there's PlayStation 5s and Pros on the shelves and no Xboxes on the shelves. One's meeting the demand with supply. The other's not. Supply and demand is a relationship that's easily seen. Crispy Bogod with the VIP. Let's hit the target. He says 40 months, let's go. Thank you so much, Crispy Bogod. Nintendo is a PlayStation competitor? How? What do you mean? They don't even compete in the same markets, Bender. Like, let's take an example. The Nintendo Switch has sold 1 in every 4 people in Japan have a Nintendo Switch. Okay? Out of the 65 million PlayStation 5s in circulation, I think like the smallest percentage was sold in Japan. It's like, I don't know, 5 out of the 65 million. It's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 million in Japan. They don't even compete in the same markets for like. Now this could be why PlayStation's trying to get into gaming on the go with the Portal, cloud on the Portal, and a potential handheld coming. I don't think Nintendo and PlayStation are competing with each other at all. No one is going to go to the market and be like, should I get a PS5 or should I get a Switch? They generally get both. Half of the PlayStation owners have a Switch. Yeah, like they don't compete with each other. They're completely different offerings. Wasn't Wolverine teased before Venom? It was. Venom's never even been teased, Johnny Cage. Venom is a rumor from a leak. Venom was never teased officially by Insomniac. Wolverine was. Here's why I think you'll get Venom before Wolverine. I think the Venom game will be like a Miles Morales. It'll be like a spin-off $40 or $50 game. Wolverine's going to be a full AAA $70 game, likely coming in 2026. Didn't Reggie say that everybody's a competitor because it's a fight for the consumer's time? I mean, Reggie can say that, and I love Reggie, but that's simply not true. That there are target audiences, there's target markets, there are consumers that Nintendo goes after that PlayStation's never going to go after, and vice versa. Nintendo is never going to go after consumers willing to buy a PS5 Pro for $700. Nintendo's going for somebody who wants the nostalgia, the family games, the gaming on the go. Now there is crossover. There are people that have both. They have a PlayStation and they'll gladly buy a Nintendo Switch because Nintendo gets people from cradle to the grave. You've been playing Nintendo since you were a kid. You're going to keep buying their products when they come out. You kind of can't not. It's like I can't ignore anything Nintendo does because it's just I kind of have to have it. I want to see it. I want to have it. I want to play it. From the Insomniac leak last year. There was a lot in the Insomniac leak that hasn't happened, though. There was allegedly like online was coming to Spider-Man. Online would be coming to the Wolverine game and the X-Men game. I'm not seeing any evidence of online coming to Spider-Man. That seems like that was shelved. Spider-Man 3 was going to be shipped in 2 parts, $50 each, with multiplayer at launch, day and date on PC. I don't know if any of that's happening. We might see a God of War Atreus game in 2025. Forgot about that one. I forgot that there could be a spin-off Atreus game. Coyote Monsoon with 19 months. I honestly think Sony is doing very great things with their investments and their IP. Legit can't wait to see what their studios do next. Online Spider-Man was canceled. I don't know if there's been official word of that, but it does seem like it was canceled because they literally said when it was coming to PC that there's no planned DLC. That to me is that they're not doing it. Spider-Man had an internal leak. There was a separate game that was canceled with Spider-Man that was going to be like multiplayer. Spider-Man 2 was supposed to get an online update according to that one roadmap. Santa Monica's working on Cory Barlog's new sci-fi game. If there's anything I know about these studios, Bolton, one of the ways they're kind of protecting themselves against losses is they don't just work on one game, they work on multiples. So I know Insomniac's been doing that. We know Guerrilla's doing that. Who else? Naughty Dog's been doing that. I think they do multi-project now to, like, in case something doesn't completely knock the doors off with sales, they've got something else in the pipeline. So there could be a smaller team working on the Atreus game. They did an awful lot of work with Atreus and his skills and his attacks to just like, well, they could do a spin-off 40 or 50 like a Miles Morales kind of a game. ADR Zone says, I wouldn't say that Sony is becoming complacent, but rather allowing studios to develop with no dates and strings attached. Sony becoming lazy with games is pretty dangerous because wouldn't that mean the studios are not making money? The slow cadence shows me they aren't worried. I don't think they're worried. If they were worried, you wouldn't have a slow cadence of releases from PlayStation. The slow cadence of release, to me, is a sign of confidence. Alex Gaming says, Sony's first and third-party exclusives in 2025. The Midnight Walk, Death Stranding 2, Ananta, Lost Soul Aside, AI Limit, Neverness to Everness, Ballad of Antera, Ghost of Yote. Marathon's not been confirmed for 2025. Sword of the Seed, Phantom Blade Zero to be confirmed. Fair Games has not been confirmed for 2025. Where Winds Meet, Intergalactic to be confirmed in Marvel's Wolverine. Yeah, I mean, that's a solid list. And again, in the midst of all of that, I mean, just look at this list that Alex put together for us. Alex Gaming put together. Okay. In the midst of that, you have all these other big games coming out. I mean, GTA 6 is coming out unless it gets delayed. GTA 6 is coming out. Mafia: The Old Country, Borderlands 4, Monster Hunter Wilds. Like, This is why I know people that get really hung up on this. They're not playing games. They're not. The negative, grifting, sky is falling, gaming sucks, AAA gaming is headed for a crash, there's no games to play. When we get to December of this year, I think so many people are going to finally see that the Emperor has no clothes. These people are saying nonsense. What they're saying is not represented in the market. There are so many games coming out. It's not a slow cadence, says Hilly. It's a normal cadence considering game development timescales. Xbox cadence is rushed and reduces quality on some projects. I mean, Hilly has been a long-standing Halo guy, long-standing Xbox guy, and I think his observation is very fair. He's saying, listen, the expectation of that many first-party games in a year is not in line with development cadence. What is this? No. Like, I think that is a good and fair observation, Hilly, that perhaps Xbox has set an expectation by saying one game every quarter at quality, and even they have struggled to do that. And given that they have struggled to do it, then you have to ask the question, is it even reasonable? Yeah, I talked about the Dawnwalker, Blood of Dawnwalker trailer. We looked at it this morning, Daniel. It looks good. I'm interested in gameplay. Lono, as portable hardware catches up to console hardware, Nintendo will compete with Sony more and more. If Switch 2 starts getting the lion's share of third-party multiplats, they are competing. Yes and no. I think you're making an excellent point that the Switch 2 could be a bigger contender now if they start to get multiplats. Here's the problem they're going to run into, okay? Based on the games that we're hearing that are going to it, Bender, like Red Dead Redemption 2, and others that'll be ported, there's already a ceiling, sort of a latent ceiling baked into the device. So as game companies want to push into what PSSR can let them do, what frame gen can let them do, what reflex can let them do on PCs, what ray tracing will let them do, that'll be a tension point for the Switch 2. That will still give PlayStation, I think, a leg up to say, if you want to push these, the graphical and the performance envelope, we have quite literally made a device to assist you in that. Nintendo has not made a device to assist developers. Nintendo will have volume dominance, which will then coax studios to consider porting their game. And even then, there's a limit, right? I will admit, the most compelling leak we've heard recently is that FF7 Remake and FF7 Rebirth are headed to the Switch 2. Especially the second game. Like, that's a pretty demanding game. Right? That's a pretty demanding game. The Switch 2 could come out and really surprise people. And start to tell PlayStation, hey, we're going to get a lot of these third-party games. But again, I just wonder if the consumers are so different. If you're wanting to play, track with me on this, if you're wanting to play third-party games that come to the market, like Monster Hunter Wilds, Mafia the Old Country, Borderlands 4, you're wanting to play those big third-party titles, I don't know if you're going to make the Nintendo Switch 2 your primary gaming device. I don't. If you're wanting to play those games, you're wanting to play the annual Call of Duty, I don't think you're going to Nintendo Switch 2 for that. I don't think so. I think people go to the Nintendo Switch 2 for the family gaming, the first-party games, etc. And then the third-party games are kind of a throw-in if you're there. But again, I think they appeal to a very different customer subset. With Nintendo, you lose fidelity in favor of portability. With Sony, you lose portability in favor of fidelity. And that may change, Bender. Listen, I got a little wink and a nudge about the PlayStation portable device. I theorized that the PlayStation engineers had a breakthrough with PSSR, and they said, we could put this on a handheld. You could lower internal res, target 1080 output, and you get a ton of headroom in games that run on the PS5. Now listen to me out. They're working with AMD on this Project Amethyst. That could be related to a portable, that could be related to the PS6, and PlayStation could be one of the first companies to come out and say, our handheld runs at fidelity and performance not before thought possible because of advances in upscaling. I got a little bit of eyebrow raised when I said that. I was like, I think PlayStation had a breakthrough with PSSR. I do. Everybody's going to say, there's like, there's no way, bro. A portable device from PlayStation, it's not going to be strong enough. Listen, everybody's poo-pooing frame gen. The next wave of advancements is going to be in having a handheld device that can hit performance thought impossible before, and they're going to do it with upscaling and things like frame gen. Because if you can give me, If you can take the internal res way down, bump it up to 1080, because 1080 on a screen that size is totally fine. It looks great on my PlayStation Portal. Bump it up to 1080, that's tons of headroom. Then if you use something like Frame Gen and you use something like Reflex so that I don't have to worry about input latency, homie, I think people are going to be blown away by what you start to see on handhelds over the course of the next 10 years. Because you can't just throw raw power at a handheld. You're going to run into problems with battery life. You're going to run into problems with the thing getting too hot, being too big, not having enough space for all the things inside. If you can start to leverage software, proprietary software like upscaling that does use hardware, like you start to leverage that to have something in your hand. There's rumors that Nintendo has something that is DLSS-like. I don't know if they're necessarily using DLSS. We'll have to wait and see. They patented some type of thing that's going to allow them to get install sizes of games down and then leverage upscaling, which could give you great performance on that handheld. I don't think they're going to rival the performance of a PlayStation 5. I don't think they're going to be walking out here saying like 4K 30 with ray tracing or, 1440 60 with ray tracing. I don't think they're going to be running things like that because I don't think they're going to be aiming that high. Now, maybe docked. Maybe once you put it in a dock, it could hit levels of performance that we didn't really anticipate from Nintendo, but I don't know. The Nintendo Switch 2, I do believe, is going to surprise people. But I don't think it's going to be rivaling performance of a PlayStation 5 or a Pro. I don't think so. Reggie Skull left a comment on my video and says, PlayStation could very well start operating similar to the PlayStation 2 with very few first-party titles and tons of third-party. It was only with the PS3 that they switched strategy and went hard on first-party titles because their third party was writing the PS3 off. A good point. Then PS4 was back to exclusives. Yeah, and then PS4, they pushed hard back on exclusives because Xbox pulled back from exclusives. Seamus755 says, PlayStation has released 2 first-party games a year for 7 years or so. 2018 was God of War and Spider-Man. 2019 was Days Gone and Death Stranding. 2020 was The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. PlayStation hasn't had 3 or 4 first-party games a year for a while now. They did with Horizon Forbidden West, GT7, and God of War Ragnarok, but that was probably COVID overflow. That very likely was just COVID overflow, by the way. The year that we got Horizon Forbidden West, Gran Turismo 7, and God of War Ragnarok, that was probably just COVID overflow. That wasn't supposed to be that way. Wouldn't surprise me at all if that was not what they intended to have happen. Like, you got Returnal and Ratchet, and then you got Horizon and GT7 and God of War Ragnarok. One of those was not supposed to be there. I think one of those... Which one got bumped? Horizon? I can't remember now. It's been so long. GT7 got delayed. Yeah, I think some of that was COVID overflow. I don't think that was like them saying, oh, this is what you're going to get this gen. This is what I think happened. It was kind of like an accordion. It was like, it started out slow. You had Demon's Souls Remake, Returnal, and Ratchet, and Returnal to some people wasn't like a big AAA title, even though I think I agree with the one video I watched. I think it's their best exclusive this gen. I think Returnal is still their best exclusive. But it was a little spread out, and then it got all bunched together. All of a sudden, you had a year with 3 bangers, Horizon, GT7, and God of War Ragnarok, and then it spread back out again. You just got Spider-Man 2 and a DLC for Horizon. and then it stayed there. Last year was just mostly exclusives. And again, there's weird hybrids. Like, Helldivers 2 is a weird hybrid. It's like, it is first party because they own it. They own the IP, but they don't own the studio. So it's like, it's also a live service, so it hit PC. So I get that people feel like it's thinned out. Yeah, don't forget Miles, that's right. I get that people feel like it thinned out. I don't think it's going to suddenly bunch back up again. That was the point of that video. Yeah, Marathon coming this year is not confirmed. I'm not sure why a lot of you guys are saying this. Stonespire left a comment and said, without Xbox on their heels to give them decent competition within the publishing games, PlayStation's in no hurry to push out anything. There is no reason for it. It's like sprinting in a race with your opponent in a leg cast. For those of us that want more first-party games, this is frustrating. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and GTA 6 hasn't done a release date yet. The lack of a GTA 6 release date is playing a huge role here. It is. It's playing a huge role here. I think a lot of studios and publishers are being quiet. And this person says, Intergalactic will release this year, I guarantee it. I really feel like they would have said it. The only thing I will grant you that if Intergalactic is targeting like late year, fourth quarter or something like that, I will grant you that maybe they didn't want to say anything because they're dealing with the GTA 6 waiting room. Dude, we're all still, whether we want to admit it or not, whether you guys are tired of hearing about it or not, we're all in the GTA 6 waiting room. We are. Like, the Switch 2 is going to get announced this week, right? The Switch 2 is going to get announced this week. And people are more like, yeah, but what about the GTA 6 release date? What about the GTA 6 trailer 2? You know? I'm calling it now. Sony is sandbagging until the PS6. I don't think they're sandbagging until the PS6. I definitely think they sandbagged for the PS5 Pro. I think it's evident that they sandbagged for the Pro. They 100% had some of these studios push things back. I think Yote is one of them. I think Yote was supposed to be last year. I think they bumped it for the Pro. I do. They said there was something that was ready that was internally delayed. It's got to be Yote. Unless there's something they're keeping out of view of the public. The Venom game or something? I don't know. There was an internal, we saw that on an internal document, that there was something that got delayed internally, and I don't know. PS6 is 3-4 years away. Yeah, I don't think they're sandbagging to the PS6. No, absolutely not. Guys, do me a favor. We just hit 300 likes. Let's get a run towards 400 likes. All right? Let's get a run. Let's work our way to the next milestone of 200 members. We're really close to, I'm gifting every 25 right now to help out. So if we hit 125, we need 6 more for that. I will gift. And thank you to everybody who has done a super chat. Thank you to all the people who have gifted members or super chatted today. There are so many of you. The regular support of this channel is how we do this every day. We did just recently hit 50,000 subscribers, but we are certainly not a channel that is large enough to do this full time. You guys make it possible for me to do this full time. So thank you very much to everybody that makes that happen every single day. If you guys also missed my upload about Halo, Halo being on PS5 and nothing being sacred, that video pulled up overnight. So thank you to everybody who's continued to leave comments on that. Pimp Taskell said here on the video, Halo was the reason I got the first OG Xbox, and I was an Xbox fanboy for a while, so much that I stayed far away from PlayStation, but with age I learned that was dumb, and eventually I got the PS4, and I've been happy with having both. But like you said, this gen has been a huge letdown from the green side. It's bittersweet to see icons from green go to blue, but Xbox has to make the money somewhere. At the end of the day, Game Pass is the biggest downfall and enemy of Xbox. I wish they would just get rid of it and stop putting big games on it day one. We are on the same page. We're on the same page for sure. You know? We are 100% on the same page. I'm with you. Like, I went through the same thing. Now, not with Halo, but just having the box in general. And there's people here saying they respect it. They understand why it has to happen. You know, that they understand. It's like, I think there are people that have, like, intellectually assented to it. They're like, this needs to happen. This guy says, my TV's an Xbox, my phone's an Xbox, my PlayStation is an Xbox. It'll revive the Halo franchise, so that's a win. I mean, I hope so. I hope so. I said it before, and I'll keep beating this drum, but if Halo is going to PS5, we want Helldivers 2. Not likely. Yeah, I don't think they're going to want to add more platforms, more patches, more versions of the game. I don't think they're going to want to have Arrowhead doing that. I just don't. I think they're going to stay away from that in general. I think it's an issue of priority, you know? It's an issue of priority. Yo, good morning, Feed. How are you? What's he saying got mixed reception, Corey? You're saying you're responding to Silver Mist? Intergalactic's not going to fix this issue. Is this going to come out with mixed reception? No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. These grifting losers tried to do the same thing with Aloy, and they failed. They tried to make Aloy look fat with Photoshop. They tried to claim that the game was making the character ugly and going in that direction, and Horizon Forbidden West sold incredibly well and was commercially successful. They tried to do the same thing with The Last of Us Part 2. It's like, I don't know what lifetime sales is, like 10 million or something. Like, these people are choosing really poor targets. Right? There are folks trying to claim that GTA 6 is going to go woke. There are folks trying to claim that Yotei is woke and they gender swapped or whatever. These people are idiots and don't know what they're talking about. They're just making stuff up. They claim that they have contacts and emails, and they're liars. No, they don't. And these games will do incredibly well commercially. You don't have to worry about any of these games because the general public is not a part of this conversation. They're not. They're not. The general public is going to see a gameplay, and they're going to be like, I want that. A really great example right now is Assassin's Creed Shadows. According to the grifters and the people who lie, they're not honest people. They should not be trusted. They are habitual liars who mislead the public. According to them, AC Shadows is destined for failure. According to people who have reliable insider information, its pre-orders were strong at the beginning and are still strong. It's trailing behind AC Valhalla. AC Valhalla is the biggest and most commercially successful Assassin's Creed to date. AC Shadows is in a perfectly fine spot. Now, it's not going to save Ubisoft from Ubisoft's troubles or woes, but the people that are acting like that game's destined to flop and fail, I think they're in for a rude awakening. It'll likely top sales charts in the month that it comes out. It will. And listen, they'll clamor to whatever they can. They'll clamor to Steam charts, right? As soon as the numbers fall low on the Steam charts for AC Shadows, they'll act like that represents failure, when generally speaking, that's true of most single-player games. They don't maintain strong concurrent numbers on like a Steam chart, typically. As an Xbox guy, I saw the Intergalactic trailer and thought, I gotta play that. You can pre-order AC Shadows? Yeah. Yeah. All pre-orders were refunded. What? What are you talking about? They didn't refund pre-orders. Didn't they refund the... There was something that's going to be free now. They did not refund pre-orders. It'll flop. It'll end up like Starfield. Big number at start, then sizzle out. Yeah, I think you underestimate the pull that some of these studios have. I'm serious. I think you underestimate. People underestimated Horizon. These guys will say things like, stop trying to make Horizon a thing. They're not trying to make Horizon a thing. Horizon's been incredibly successful. Everything about Horizon runs counter to their narrative. Everything. A female lead that I believe is pretty, but she's not put in the game in an objectified way, right? She's not bouncing around half clothed. She's not like traditionally supermodel designed like some lead female characters are. And Horizon is one of their most successful franchises. Stop trying to make Horizon a thing. Stop trying to pretend it's not a thing. Like these people are in denial. They can't admit they're wrong because it destroys the entire illusion of their grift. It destroys the entire illusion. The whole grift goes out the window. Oh, you can't pre-order it anymore. You could pre-order it. I pre-ordered the collector's edition and I still pre-ordered at GameStop. Yeah, according to Tom Henderson from Insider Gaming, the pre-orders were strong when they opened them and are still strong, meaning people haven't gone and canceled their pre-orders. Now, they may have stopped pre-orders in light of the situation. AC Shadows was refunded? No, it was not. Literally last week, last week, some people are getting refunds, I think, because they made one of the elements of the game free going forward. Yeah, Game Rant's reporting that pre-orders were refunded. That runs counter to what Tom Henderson just reported a week ago. Let's see here. Looking for the refunded word. Release date delayed. I think they refunded like the one thing that will no longer be charged for money. I forget what it's called. There's something that will be free going forward that they included in one of the pre-orders. All I know is just last week, Tom Henderson reported that the pre-orders were still strong. My order was 100% refunded. Well, yeah, if you ordered the one that came with the thing that will be free, they can't do a partial refund. They would have to have you pre-order it, and it'll be a different version of the game. There was a version of the pre-orders that came with this thing. I forget what it's called, but it is now free. Why would I lie? Nobody's accusing you of lying. Are you listening? Are you part of the conversation? Like, do you hear what I'm saying? People are getting refunds. Did you catch that? Not everybody's getting refunds. And Tom Hendy just reported last week that the pre-orders were strong and are still strong. Pre-orders were refunded and canceled in September. Then I don't get what Tom Henderson's reporting on then. If every single one was refunded, that doesn't what he said makes no sense. What he said makes zero sense if they just refunded everybody. And that would have nothing to do with the consumers canceling it. That would have to do with probably the legality of what they're doing. They can't charge you for something that's going to be free after launch, so they probably had to refund it. I don't get his report then. I never even pre-ordered and mine was canceled. Tom's BSing. Tom Henderson is not BS. He reports what he is told by the insiders and the contacts that he has. The pre-orders could have been strong before the refunds. Are there versions that were not refunded, though? Would be my question. Did anybody here get a refund of AC Shadows that was the standard edition, no extras? That would be my question. Because if you ordered the Digital Deluxe or the Collectors or any of that, they probably had to refund it. Because they're not doing that physical item anymore because I guess it was offensive. And then there's a digital thing. I forget what it's called. They're making the future pre-orders will get the DLC for free, according to the same report from CNET in the September timeframe that these refunds were going out. The first DLC will be free. So they're going to have to completely change the SKU because what you pre-ordered doesn't exist anymore. Why would we lie but not Tom Henderson? Nobody said you're lying, Jonathan. Are you struggling to hear, or are you just trying to be irritating? Nobody has said that you are lying. Does that sentence make sense to you? Do you comprehend that nobody here has said you're lying? Let's move on now like adults. Tom Henderson indicated that pre-orders were strong and are still strong. I don't understand him saying that unless he's indicating that back then the pre-orders were strong and maybe there are versions that were not canceled because there are SKUs that are still good. There are SKUs that are still good. There's SKUs that are no longer good. You pre-ordered a version of the game that doesn't exist anymore. There were versions of the game that came with this DLC. That DLC is now free. So they can't charge you for that. Tom must have been speaking to the September numbers. All right, hang on a second. Insider Gaming Ubisoft. This could be on me. Maybe I misread what he said. Right here. He says, let me put it on screen so you can see it. By all accounts from various Ubisoft sources, pre-orders for the game were high before the game's delay and are still looking strong. but expectedly still behind Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That's not alarming to me. So this is the line that doesn't make sense. Everything else makes sense. Pre-orders were high before the delay. I don't know why he's saying they're still looking strong. Hyde says, my pre-order of the collector's edition has never been canceled or refunded or anything. That's what I'm saying. Like, there could very likely be, his statement can be true and you still got a refund, right? His statement could be true in that they're not seeing internal reports of people trying to cancel their pre-order, so the pre-orders are still strong. If they canceled some pre-orders because the SKUs are no longer good, because a new version will hit the digital marketplace whenever the game finally has whenever the game's finally out, then that would be you having to go back and pre-order. That's not you canceling your order like, oh, I don't want it anymore. Those are two different things. They say it could take weeks for all the refunds to land and process. Okay. That still is not a refutation of his claim that the pre-orders were strong before delay. If Ubisoft is refunding people, again, there could be legality there. Like, if you're going to change the item, you can't charge people if they're getting something different. My guess it would be the retailer pre-orders like GameStop weren't canceled. That's possible. That's possible. And if Ubisoft is not seeing any internal trend of, oh yeah, a ton of people are canceling their pre-orders, Tom Henderson's like, yeah, I mean, I'm hearing that the pre-orders are still strong. Like, people are not initiating cancellations of their pre-orders. The fact that you cannot pre-order and moving the release again are undeniable red flags. No, I don't think so. I think it's more related to Ubisoft trying to sell the game as well, as well as maybe even the studio attached to it. Right? I don't find it to be a red flag about AC Shadows, and here's why. They announced the new delay of AC Shadows on the same day that the CEO of Ubisoft is like, yeah, we're looking for buyers. We're looking for buyers. I think the delay is far more related to that. Far more related to that than the than like, oh, the game's not ready, the game's in trouble. I don't think so. What he could have meant is the pre-orders are strong despite digital pre-orders being refunded. Happy to disagree, but certainly not promising. Based on the footage that they were releasing, I'm not worried. I think the game looks like it's going to be good. I'm not worried at all. I've not seen anything concerning out of the footage. The latest footage was a bunch of unlisted videos that hit YouTube. And to me, I thought they looked fine. I honestly thought some of them looked really good, to be honest with you. So, I think the delay had way more to do with the controversy and some of the bad decisions they made than like, oh, the game's not ready, the game's in terrible shape. I think they made some stupid decisions, and they were like, you guys have got to get that stuff out of there. Why are people still pre-ordering in 2025? Some people wait to pre-order until like the day before because they want all the spiffs and they want all the bonuses. Others wait. Others do it for the stuff. Like, you get good stuff. You get cool stuff. You know, they're like, I want to be able to get the book or the early stuff. You know? Hang on. Okay. I figured it out. They refunded everybody on Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. If you pre-ordered somewhere other than those three, it's on you to get your refund. Okay, so Creature looked into this, and it appears to be that they refunded everybody digitally, or everybody from Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam if you pre-ordered. But if you pre-ordered anywhere else, it's up to you to get a refund. So Tom Henderson may be reporting that internally, Ubisoft's like, we're not seeing people trying to refund the game. We're not seeing that. The pre-orders are still strong. They refunded, and probably, again, they probably had to, because there are people who pre-ordered a version of Assassin's Creed Shadows that no longer exists. So, listen, if you guys have been hanging out today and having a good time, you can help me out by hitting the like button. Let's try to get 400 likes. We're 6 members away from me owing you guys some more members. I'm going to be gifting 5 every 25 today to try to get us to 200 so we can get back on pace for the week. Every week, a Friday night stream with Madam is the goal, as well as community game day with Hilly, if you guys hit those goals. Just last week, you guys hit a stretch goal, and you made my wife play Kingdom Come Deliverance 1. It was hilarious. Everybody seemed to enjoy it. That stream has almost 800 views. That's really, really high for our members. That's a lot of members that check that out. So be sure to lock in, dial in, get your memberships updated. We haven't had anything crazy like this since Sonic came to Nintendo. Agreed. Also, if you're looking for the GTA 6 trailer 2, there were people that thought today was the day. That number 14 kept showing up, and today is, I guess, like Faye Dunaway's birthday. She was in Bonnie and Clyde, right? And everybody thought, oh, January 14th. And then people thought, oh, February 14th for Valentine's Day. I don't think they're going to wait that long for the GTA 6 trailer 2. I don't think they're going to wait that long because the Take-Two earnings call is on February the 6th. I think we get trailer 2 sometime in the coming weeks or right around the earnings call. I don't think they wait until after. I don't think so. Physical depends on the game. Some games physical outsells digital, especially in the release window. PlayStation sees a majority of physical sales in many of their games, especially in certain markets. Physical sales in certain markets are a lot higher. That's a reach. I love her, though. Yeah, there were people theorizing that. Yeah. I don't think they've done anything on the Rockstar Instagram. They were deleting posts again for whatever reason. They were deleting posts again. Oh, we published there too? Did we hit the old tick? Did we hit the old tick? Oh gosh, my volume's up. Sorry, everybody. We did. We're taking your questions, guys. We're taking your questions and we're turning them into short form content. So right now, we had a question submitted by one of you. You have to be a member to do this. You can ask a question. I'll answer you either way. But we had a question submitted from Pac-Man on a Bike. Pac-Man on a Bike has been featured on our various short form channels. Instagram, the Tickety Talk, as well as shorts here on YouTube. So actually, let's start pulling up those questions. You guys can submit questions with the question command, and you may get featured in that content. Let me show you what it looks like. You do not have to be a member to ask me questions, but this feature is specifically for members. Stephanie Blaze says, what are some recommendations for a PC setup? I'm not moving away from console, but I have some PC games I wanted to play. I just wanted to know the best setup. It really depends on budget and what you're willing to do. If money is not an option, then I would maybe try and work with somebody in our Discord about like using one of those sites where you can kind of pick all the parts. The difficulty you're going to run in there is then like you've got to set it up. There are decent companies out there. There are good companies out there actually that do pre-builts, and you can get a pretty good rig. You'll spend more, but you're paying for the convenience of not having to set it up yourself. I would tend to stay away from the pre-builts in places like, you know, your Walmarts, your Targets, Best Buy, Amazon. I mean, you could maybe get something that's worthwhile. I just would always worry about quality. We honestly should be partnered. We should probably try and get partnered with one of those PC companies so I could just send you to one of them and say they've got a really great pre-built right now for $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever. So it depends on your budget and depends on what you want to do. if you don't want to like put the thing together on your own and deal with all of that, you know, you're going to want to go pre-built, which means you're going to end up paying more. If you're okay with putting it together yourself, then you could work with some of the tech heads in our community and go to a PC part picking site and build a solid rig and save money by doing it yourself. Starforge, Asmon. Yeah, I don't know who we would work with. There's going to be a lot of different, you know, opinions in chat about which graphics cards. Yeah, terrible advice, Lono. All you need is graphics cards. Shot fired at Doc. I'm not taking shots at Doc. I just wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't. I don't. When you're spending that kind of money, I don't know if I would be buying a pre-built from like a retail store. So reach out to Starforge. They will hook you up. They have creators smaller than you on their team. I wouldn't mind working with a PC company that'll send me a nice new streaming rig. I'm perfectly fine, you know, buying and building a beast PC for gaming. We've got that big goal that I'll build it on stream for you guys. If you want to see me build a rig and put it together, that's a big goal that we have right now. That we'll do that as a members only thing. So here's another question from one of the members here. Broken Earth says, wouldn't you think it would make more sense for Xbox to move to a console release schedule like PlayStation? One of the dilemmas right now facing Xbox is that they're wanting their studios to multi-plat publish in a way that's not very common. Okay? Commonly right now, when you see a multi-plat release, it might hit PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. And then if it hits Switch, it comes to the Switch later. Some of the Switch releases were on cloud. Some of them were ported. Suddenly asking their studios now to not just build for PC, Series S and Series X, which is what a lot of their studios have been doing because that was their delivery cadence. They weren't delivering on PlayStation and Nintendo. Now you're asking them to do two things. You want to add in PlayStation, which includes PS5 Pro enhancements. We already saw the Black Ops devs do this. They built something proprietary with the Sony devs, like an anti-lag VRR. But then they're also going to have to develop for the Nintendo Switch too. I worry that kind of stretch of your bandwidth and your talent, I think it's going to hurt the games that they come out with. I would much prefer the Xbox first-party studios build for, you know, Xbox and PC first, and then build for PlayStation, and then build for Nintendo. But I don't know if they're going to want to do that because releases and publishing tells you shipping everywhere in the beginning is the best. Even if it hurts the quality of the games, you're going to make more money because people buy it and you can't refund on Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation. So it could hurt the quality of the games coming from Xbox, given they're going to stretch their studios pretty thin. So nice read of the AI summary. I can't see it. Xbox has no identity. That's their problem. Wait, what's Jonathan saying? Physical sales are less than 5% of global sales. Google it. I don't think that's true. Physical game sales versus digital. It's certainly moving, but it's not 5%. Globally. Let's go globally. A quick breakdown from Tweaktown here shows that digital's been increasing globally while physical games have been declining, but it looks here like yeah, it's not as stark as you're saying. Although Tweaktown's saying here, maybe you're getting headline bamboozled. Digital to make 95% of video game revenue in 2023. So you're saying, oh, only physical's 5%. But is that including mobile revenue that can't do physical? Like, is that number console gaming, physical, digital? 83% of console gaming revenue. But the difficulty with there is, does that digital include all of the digital spending, like microtransactions? You're making it sound like quantity of sales, and this sounds like it's revenue, and you're conflating the two. digitally, yes, it wouldn't surprise me if revenue significantly dwarfs, because you're going to have micro spending in games like Fortnite and Call of Duty. That's a digital only purchase, a skin, a battle pass, or whatever. If you're talking about digital versus physical sales of the actual games, what you're saying is incorrect. Google it, Sony physical PlayStation. Again, you're citing revenue. I just found the report that supports your 5% number. You're incorrect. You're citing revenue. Yes, digital revenue is going to surpass because of all of the microtransactions. The amount of money people spend in like Warzone and Fortnite on digital items. We're talking about physical versus digital sales of games. That's not the same as revenue. 30% physical, and it's even higher when it's PlayStation first party studios. Yeah, a report from May of last year said that where's the total breakdown here? 70? Yeah. So this says for that fiscal period, digital PS5 and PS4 game sales ratio peak at 77%. That's the peak. According to Sony's metrics, which reportedly track first-party and third-party, 70% of all PS5 and PS4 games purchased in the last fiscal year were digital. That means physical PS5 and PS4 game sales are down to only 30%. Yeah, it's not 5. This is a report from May of last year. So it certainly is shifting towards digital. You're not incorrect to say that. You're just putting a very stark number. It's not down to 5%. Again, revenue is different than sales of games, because revenue is going to include every microtransaction, every digital microtransaction, every skin, every battle pass, every V-Buck. So, yeah, the revenue divide is going to heavily favor digital, and I don't see how it couldn't, because micro spending is very high. Every card pack in a sports game. It's misleading because a lot of gamers are digital only. Well, it's not misleading because a lot of gamers have gone digital only because they're fine with that or they prefer that. That's not misleading. The water gets muddy if you argue solely revenue. Yeah, if you just fixate on the revenue, it can be a little misleading because you're like, oh my gosh, 95%. It's like, well, yeah, you're including every. Willing to stipulate 30%, my bad. Yeah. You're not wrong. You just got the data incorrect. The move is certainly trending towards digital. It just is. It is. Once you move towards digital, that's just what people are going to be willing to do. It's easier. It's more convenient. Same point, not a sign of point is the same, not a sign of strength. What was your original point? What are you saying? Physical copy. What are you saying is not strong strength? Physical, or the company? What are you saying is not a sign of strength? I saw it was 78%, but it's only growing. Oh, it's going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to grow. Once you get okay with digital, you just don't really go back. You get assimilated. You 100% get assimilated. Yeah, COVID probably put it into high gear. Because you're like, I don't got to go to the store. I don't got to wait for the disc to show up. I can have the thing pre-installed. The morning or the midnight that it releases, it's ready to go, and I can hop right in as long as I'm not dependent on servers or something. Yeah, I think digital will continue to rise. I don't think you can fight against it. When half or more of Sony's first-party game sales come from physical, that's still strength. Yeah, like if their first-party games still trend towards physical, that is a strength. And again, there are markets that heavily favor physical. That could be dependent upon internet speed and infrastructure, where downloading a game is hugely inconvenient. Downloading a game is really inconvenient if your internet's not that fast. So, all right, we're behind, so I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to extend. We got 30 minutes. 1 o'clock. we're going to green room, and this day I'm sticking to it. We'll go to green room. I like going long, but I've got things I've got to do, videos I've got to make, and things that's just what we do now. So I'm willing to go beyond 3 hours with you guys. Some days we've streamed for 4 and 5 hours, but we make that something that we put into your hands. So double check that you don't have member renewals. You can get a little member train going. You guys can extend the stream. Also, make sure and hit the like button. Once those things start to slow down, it becomes far more beneficial for us to be in green room and discussing the next day. So if we can keep that going, we'll get more people in here. We'll bounce things back. But that's something that I had to put into your hands in the live environment. YouTube is very much a living, breathing thing. And you can't just stream for forever because you want to. We got to play by their rules. And they certainly have helped with that recently. We've gone for 4 or 5 hours some days, and I've lost track of time. You guys have made that really, really fun. I pre-order some games so I don't forget them. Well, that's what wish lists are for. Yeah. Yeah, that's what wish lists are for. Yeah. You don't need to pre-order so you don't forget it. I wish list on Steam for that very reason. I want to get reminded when the game comes out. Yeah. Citizen JV, and this is the last question in the queue. We pushed out questions today into the Shorts feed. We pushed out questions today into Instagram and other platforms, and that is something that you guys can be featured in as a member. Citizen JV says, if Halo Master Chief Collection and Flight Sim are coming to PlayStation later this year, how do we know it's completely 100% accurate or just rumor mongering? Okay, hang on. If Master Chief and Flight Sim are coming to PlayStation later this year, how do we know it's completely 100% accurate or just rumor mongering? The sources of the claims. The sources of the claims. Multiple Xbox insiders, some who were very much in denial about this, are like, oh no, this stuff's going. This isn't some guy on 4chan or Reddit. It's not some clout chaser on Twitter. These are established people in the sort of like Team Green side of the field, and they're like, this is happening. Right? Like, this is happening. These games are coming. So somebody is actually calling me out on Twitter because he says, I played it a bunch, even did community game nights on the channel. Stay mad. You're a joke. Always will be. Okay, I rarely respond to losers like this. Did you not see that my stats for Halo Infinite, I played the game for 2 days and 18 hours. And you think that you've somehow dunked on me because you played for 19 days. So you played a game for 19 days that died a slow death of no updates, ongoing problems and bugs and glitches. They abandoned split screen. They abandoned the game. And you think you've won some kind of a fight. You inadvertently expose the fact that this alleged Sony pony played Halo Infinite for 2 days and 18 hours. I almost played the game for 3 days. Really? You think you've won some kind of a contest here? You guys kick the ball in your own net and you don't even realize it. The team that always comes after me like this, you guys lead the league in own goals. You kick the ball into your own goal so much. You spent 19 days in Halo Infinite? How many? How many Sony ponies do you know that spent almost 3 days in Halo Infinite? How many? Here's my stats right here. Reforge TV, 2 days, 18 hours. That's how much I played that game with my community. That's how much I wanted that game to be fun. We did a lot with that game. I have almost 3 days of playtime. I thought I was a Sony pony. That's more. That is. Hang on. Let me compare this. That's almost 70 hours. That's 66 hours. That's more than I spent in most of the PlayStation first-party games. That's more than I spent in God of War. I think that's somewhere close to what I spent in Horizon Forbidden West. That's less than I spent in Ghost of Tsushima. 66 hours in Halo Infinite. Like, again, you guys lead the league in kicking the ball in your own net. You do. You think you're calling me out, and yet you prove the absurdity of what people claim about me. Yeah, that guy's just an Xbox hater and a Sony pony, and I clock 66 hours in Halo Infinite. Jiminy Christmas. You people are delusional. You've drunk so much green Kool-Aid that you can't see anymore. You just can't. You've drunk yourself stupid off of fanboy Kool-Aid, that you think that was a call-out. You know what's funny? Compare my 66 hours in Halo Infinite to some of the people who call me a pony. To content creators who claim they bleed green. Do it. Compare my 66 hours to them. That might be an interesting experiment. Why don't you do that for the afternoon, since apparently you got a lot of time on your hands. Good Lord. All right, guys, 20 minutes. 20 minutes if you want to extend. I'm calling you out for not platinuming. My name is Mayo. Yeah. Jiminy. Mango says, check out all the Xbox influencers hours. It'll be double than most of them. Thrash has exposed them. The year-end report looked that way for some of those guys. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many Sony pony Xbox haters you can find that spent almost 3 days in Halo Infinite. It's like, he literally thinks he won some kind of a fight. He's like, well, I was in there for 19 days. I don't care. You like the game more than me. You just proved that I played the game a lot. I was in a small percentage of people. There's not a ton of people I wouldn't think that played that game that much, because they lost players rather quickly. They have. They lost players rather quickly. The cadence of those battle passes, the way you leveled up the battle passes, good night. That game did not at all try to keep people in the funnel. They had so many issues and problems. Your wish lists are shameful. Here, we got another question coming in from Stone Spire. The question queue is wide open. We need 50 more likes, guys. Try to get us to 400 likes on the count. If you haven't hit that thumbs up. Stone Spire says, concerning the Switch 2 announcement, do you think they will have some sort of Nintendo Direct to show off the hardware and any of the games for the announcement, or will they do it later? According to all the sources that have corroborated that the Switch 2 announcement will be this Thursday the 16th, it will focus on the device and not the games. So, it'll focus on the device and not the games. This guy needs it. I have 80 hours in Helldivers 2. Imagine thinking that calling me out for having 66 hours in Halo Infinite is some kind of a win. I'm the worst Sony pony ever with more hours in Halo Infinite than some big PlayStation first-party titles. I have 80 hours in Helldivers 2 for comparison. Why would they focus on the device? We already know what the Switch would look like. Switch 2 is more powerful Switch. We get it. Just show us and prove us that. Here's the thing, Jack. All right. So when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2, they have to convince 150 million people why it's time to bump up. All right. Think about the kind of games that a lot of people are likely playing on their Nintendo Switch right now. Okay. A lot of them will be perfectly fine to stay where they are. It's a gaming on the go device. It fits their needs. You know, they're able to get what they want out of it. And you got to convince them to get a new one. Well, you can do that a handful of ways. Okay. You can do that a handful of ways. You could do it with the exclusives. You could say, well, you can only get the new Zelda. You can only get the new Mario. You can only get the new Mario Kart on the Nintendo Switch 2. I don't think they want to do that right away. I think they want to do that later. And here's why. That can have a pretty sour note if you basically center the Switch 2 not around the Switch 2. If you center it around games, Nintendo fans, what they're going to do, they're going to say, oh, I want that game. And then when they find out they can't get it, that's kind of a sour note. So what their marketing has to do is they have to convince all of the Nintendo Switch owners that the Switch 2 is hot. It is awesome. It's new. It's cool. It's innovative. It's more powerful, whatever. Then, once they have convinced you to get the Switch 2, then the games are another push. Do you get what I'm saying? Like if they come out this Thursday and they're like Mario Kart 9 and new Mario 3D and new Zelda played exclusively on the Nintendo Switch 2. Now some of them may be cross-platform, but let's imagine that some of these are not cross-platform because they're shooting for better looking, better performing games. Like they've got to convince you that the Switch 2 is worth it, and then when they start focusing on the games, you don't care. You've been convinced that the Switch 2 is worth it. If they try to convince you with the games, that can actually put kind of a damper on the marketing. Because people are going to say, well, I already have a Switch. I don't want to buy a new one. I don't want to. Like, that's, in general, I think that's going to be their approach. You convince them that the Switch 2 is worth it, and then the games end up doing a stronger push as well. Halo the Master Chief Collection, 1 hour and 9 minutes. 33 days in Starfield. Jiminy Christmas, Amskin. You don't have that new Zelda? I mean, I think they can convince people with titles, but I don't think they want to do that from the very beginning. If they do that from the very beginning, then yeah, that can absolutely make people say, well, that's not fair. I already have a Switch, or I want that. If they're already convinced that the Switch 2 is worth it as a device, then you can naturally flow into, well, then what games am I getting? You start with the games and the hype becomes about the games. People are going to feel like they're getting kind of squeezed or whatever. They're getting sort of forced to switch. No pun intended. You don't want people feeling like they have to switch to play the games. You want them to feel like they want to switch. I'm curious to switch to storage capabilities if no one's talking about that. SSD or NVMe? I'm not sure if that's been in any of the leaks. I didn't get into the hardware leaks because I don't really get into hardware or specs of like RAM this and da-da-da-da-da. And and Patrick Q says, boys, we got 12 minutes and a long way to go. And he gets us to 120. Thank you, Patrick Q. We are behind on the goal, and I'm going to stick to it today because we've got a lot we're trying to do. I'm always happy to extend the stream. When we hit those goals, I put the stream in your hands. We missed it yesterday. I extended anyway. I can't do that today. I've got some things going on this evening that are going to kind of push against my workflow in the afternoon. So you guys have 11 minutes to get to 200. You need 80 members in 11 minutes. That's a tall order. The big boys haven't been around this week. It's got to be NVMe. If it's not, wow. Yeah, I don't know. $83 hours in Skyrim, 58 in Baldur's Gate. I couldn't find how many hours I had in Skyrim on Xbox. It was like I couldn't find which version because I believe I played most of that on my 360. I couldn't find how many hours. I know it was a lot. I played it a lot and I would jump into parties with my friends and just talk. Yeah, it'll be cartridges again. Yeah, that's why they patented the upscaling tech. They patented the upscaling tech because what they wanted was they wanted the ability to basically lower install size, so like textures and things that they're putting on the install disk or whatever can be shrunk down. Oh, the 360 hours don't show? Really? That's such a bummer. That's such a bummer. Oh, the GTA 6 trailer's out? No way. Oh my gosh. You totally didn't trick anybody. Easily put 300 plus hours in Skyrim across Xbox, PS4, and PC. Yeah, I don't even know. I put 100 and something. I think I put 111 hours into Fallout 4 on Xbox. I think Skyrim. I think I had more in Skyrim than that. I think I did. I can't remember. 27 days in Skyrim, Spice King. Jiminy Christmas. Man. Cartridge not working, spit on that thing. I wouldn't recommend that. Another question submitted by Joker Quinn. Do you think all of the games showcased in the Developer Direct will be multiplat besides Doom or staggered release? Well, hang on a minute. What do you mean will be multiplat? Doom is multiplat. The way you phrase this is confusing. Claire Obscura Expedition 33 is multiplat. Doom is multiplat. South of Midnight will likely be a staggered release. I'm not sure what you mean. The surprise game that Jez Corden said is going to be a Japanese long-standing franchise. That is going to be a multiplat as well. Jez Corden says he believes that's a multiplat. So the only game that isn't going to be probably like announced as multiplat will be South of Midnight. I believe that's going to be a staggered release. South of Midnight would likely, I think, do really well on the PlayStation, given that it seems like a very mature Kena Bridge of Spirits. That's the game I'm looking forward to the most, actually installing and playing on my Series X this year, is South of Midnight. I'm no longer building a library on Xbox, so when Doom the Dark Ages comes out, playing it on my Pro will likely get some enhancements from ID Software. I have no reason to buy any multi-plat game on Xbox, especially now that I have a Pro. That's the strongest console. That gets all the perks and the benefits. Like, I'm glad that's where I bought Black Ops 6. You could have got it on Game Pass. I don't give a frick. I don't care. I've got a better version to play on my Pro of Black Ops 6. I thought there were more games. I don't think so. I mean, there could be more Joker. I mean, there could be. All right, you guys got 7 minutes. I don't know if anybody's going to save your bacon today. We're going to end up in green room early. Reforge, this is actually a great topic no one's talking about. Like, what does Nintendo patent look like, or how can they patent if the rumors are true and they're using DLSS from NVIDIA? I don't know if the rumor was that they were using DLSS. I thought the rumor was they had something that was DLSS-like. It was similar to the DLSS technology. And then the patent came out. So to me, I think the patent shows they're not trying to use DLSS. They might have their own thing. They might have come up with their own thing. I mean, that's what PlayStation did with PSSR and their advanced ray tracing. Like, they came up with their own stuff. Well, I don't know if the advanced ray tracing is their own stuff, but it's the PSSR is their own. It's branded to them. So yeah, I don't know if Nintendo engineers decided that, you know, they were going to come up with their own thing. They might have had better results by doing that. Creating your own tech, creating your own proprietary stuff. They patented something that's going to allow them to have something's file size be like a fraction of what it would be without the upscaling. So they'll have smaller install sizes. Their upscaling patent seemed far more focused on getting the install size of a game down more than it didn't seem to be focused on like graphical fidelity and performance. Now, those could be benefits of the upscaling that we read about. But if the patent that Nintendo filed for that upscaling is to be believed, then I would say they're more focused on getting install size down. Their patent did not seem focused on performance. It didn't. But it's an NVIDIA chip. It could be modified DLSS. Yeah, we're just going to have to wait. It could be a modified DLSS solution that they came up with. That's entirely true. The leaks were all over the place, so it's hard to know. That's why when I run with leaks, I keep it generic. I don't get into the details because the details always change. I'm like, this is what was said from a very general standpoint. There's going to be some type of upscaling, something like DLSS. Because generally speaking, the leaks are hitting around a target. They've heard this, they've seen this, they were told this. So that's typically why I do that. All right, 4 minutes. In 4 minutes, we're going to green room. In 4 minutes, we're going to green room. And the weekly goal is now tied to Friday nights. It's tied to Friday nights. We do the thing with Hilly no matter what. That's a given. But the weekly goal is tied to Friday nights. It's that Friday night stream with my wife. We hang out. The Kingdom Come Deliverance stream was hilarious. If you're a member and you haven't watched it yet, you need to go watch it. It was funny. It was funny. You need to check it out. What's happening? I'm not up to date. According to a lot of sources corroborated, there will be a Nintendo Switch 2 announcement this Thursday. Yo, Ruthless Blackskin with 8 months and a member plus. I'm so ready for the developer direct because I need you to finally be wrong and for Fable to come this year. If it's pushed back, I will cry. Fable's not at the direct, homie. And that bumps the line to 121. Thank you, Ruthless Blackskin. Guys, by the way, 4 minutes is also the amount of time I played Redfall. I could not believe the stuff people were saying this morning about Redfall. At least we can still play it. Oh my gosh. That was some of the weirdest takes I've ever seen. Like Concord's abysmal flop makes your game better. That's like being second to last on a bracket. Like, here's all the sports teams, and this team lost all of their games. And you have a one win. And being like, yeah, well, at least we're got one win. It's like, oh my gosh, you both had terrible seasons. Shut up. Anyway, in 3 minutes, we're going to the green room. You need to be at the Member Plus tier or higher. Member Plus is $6. I give more content to the people that support the channel directly. If you're on a gifted member, you still get access to morning coffee. You still get access to the stream with Hilly on Fridays as well as the Friday night stream with my wife. You get access to all of that. Xbox canceled a few of their online games too. Remember Project Sparkle, Fable Legend? My pushback would be that's what should happen to games like that. I would rather a game be canceled. Concord should have been canceled. It never should have come out. It never should have come out. More on The Witcher stuff. 2 years ago, we released a new quest for The Witcher 3. New designers and writers worked on it, preparing for The Witcher 4, together with one of the most senior quest designers who has been with us since The Witcher 1. All in all, it was the perfect start to getting back into the vibe. Yeah, more counter narrative to like, oh, all the people that worked on the good game, on the good stuff are gone. The company's been taken over by DEI. Yeah. All right, 60 seconds. I'm going to spam a link. We're getting out of here. There was a time there where we were ending every day around 12 or 12:30, so we're still going later than we used to, but this is something that we have to stick to sometimes, and that is I can't stay live all day. I got uploads and things. If you haven't checked out the video that we made, I made it yesterday afternoon. This is one of the reasons why we can't stream all day like I used to when I was a Twitch streamer, right? I made a video. It's called PlayStation The First Party Problem. Do me a favor and check that video out if you haven't already. Check that video out. PlayStation The First Party Problem. It's available on the channel right now if you haven't checked it out. In fact, I'm going to redirect, but I'll give you guys a link to that video. If you haven't checked out the PlayStation First Party Problem, there's a link to the video in chat. Go check it out. Leave a comment. Leave a like. Do all those things. The rest of you, I'll just redirect you to Green Room. If your PlayStation, if your PlayStation First Party, no, that's the video. Here we go. Thank you so much for being at I can't talk. PS Plus is the video, the PlayStation First Party videos that we uploaded today. I can't talk right now. We have a PlayStation First Party Problem video. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. But thank you so much for being at Member Plus, at Member Plus or VIP. We're doing Green Room now to end every day. This is basically the Writer's Room and the Green Room smashed into one segment for those of you that support the channel directly. If you're watching the tail end of the broadcast and you weren't able to come with us, that's because you got to upgrade, and that is an incentive to get into more content. If you can't do that, you still get to see us in Morning Coffee and all the Friday member streams, as well as the Discord. I'm going to end that stream and redirect, and then I'm going to change the thumbnail because we are no longer live.